Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies. Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your pharaoh of physical media, and this is another great episode of Let's Get Physical Media. I'm never going to learn how to sing that on key, let me tell you. But you know what? As you all know, it's not really a show. It's not the legendary bit of entertainment that it has become known as the world over, unless your favorite German, my favorite German, the world's favorite German, people on the French-German border love this man because they know he's a hop, skip, and a jump away, all the way in Saarbrücken, Deutschland. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Please introduce, or let me introduce to the world again, Mr. Dieter Bastian.
For the 86th time, or is it 85? I don't know.
86. I was going to 86 you, buddy.
Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Dieter here I am, rock you like Hurricane, and welcome to the B&B Motel for Let's Get Physical Media. And Rob, considering my health, I'm checking my tea leaves here. You know, the urine sample was a little bit wishy-washy because last year, you perhaps remember it, you said, hey, dude, get me the Total Recall set from Studio Canal, you know. And then I pre-ordered it really ahead of time, but I had to get to you like a dog with the tail between my legs. Sorry, it got canceled, or pre-order got canceled. And this week, I don't know if you've gotten yours, Rob. The Highlander set has gotten its release date on Monday. Mine has still not shipped, Rob. So I'm a little bit not shipply, Rob. I'm fearing a little bit of cancellation again.
Guess who's set ship to America? I believe in America. Oh yeah, I'm in America. Oh yeah, I'm in America. Ooh, and guess who's got 2 Highlander sets shipping to me? That's right, your man right here, the Bobster, Mr. B. But you know why I got 2? I feel bad now. Don't say it, because I want it to be a surprise. He forgot.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to him on the show. He won't care. But you know what?
Where did you order it, Rob? Savvy or
Amazon?
I don't know.
Bro.
I couldn't believe it.
Bro.
Why has yours shipped, Rob? I pre-ordered it in August. Unbelievable.
You know, when you're a nice guy.
Yeah, you're the man.
Guy. No, they don't know me. They don't know me from Adam. They've canceled my shit before. Didn't the lovely Emma Bannon get me that Total Recall set?
Yeah, exactly.
She did.
Exactly.
Emma came through. You know what? One day, Dietz, my dream is to go to London, go to Soho with Emma. We're going to party like for days, and I'm going to wind up in some weird place with her, and we're not going to know what happened. And I want you to be there. I want you to be there, Dietz. Because Emma and I, we're going to tear it up. We're going to tear up old Blighty like it's never been torn up before. I want to wake up bleeding from all orifices, not knowing what the hell happened to me.
And buy some MHV exclusives.
Well, that's what she's always sending me like, look, HMV's putting this out. I'm like, oh, man, come on, I can't.
So, but at the moment, the Highlander set is back in stock again with Amazon, so I'm still hoping it will get to me.
But mine is supposed to arrive soon. I mean, I got to tell you, It's really stressing me out. It's like back in the day in the 90s when KB Toys would get like the Mirror Universe Playmates figure exclusives or the City on the Edge of Forever figure exclusives, and I'd stress out about it. You know, you'd have to call, and I mean, we're grown men. I mean, there's war in the Ukraine, and we're stressing out about 4K discs. But you know what? It's all relative.
When will our shipment come in? Because it's nice that you say it's my issue, but today you will have to save us, Rob, because I didn't get much stuff. One of the German couriers called Hermes, not big fan of them. They said, they did send me an email on Thursday. Your stuff is going out today. And then later in the day, got an email. We didn't make it today, tomorrow. On Friday, same thing all over again. It's on transit to you. And then, no, we didn't make it today. And Saturday, again.
Dude, that happened to me.
What?
That happened to me with a certain disc I will show, a certain 4K disc that I ordered months and months ago. And I got, it said it was out for delivery and it was going to arrive at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. rolls around, and then I get this, there's a problem, you might not have it delivered, and if you don't get it, you will refund your money. I'm like, this is fucking Amazon. And I'm like, bruh, I'm calling Amazon. Hello, Amazon. Bruh, dude, I don't want your excuses. I want what I pre-ordered months and months and months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I did get a shipping notice for, though, Dietz? My 1/6 scale 1966 Batmobile.
Ooh. Nice.
For the Hot Toys figures. I bought the Adam West. No, this was not a Schnäppchen. As a matter of fact, it went up in price after I paid for it. Here's the best part about it. I've been paying it off for like 3 years, so it doesn't really matter. I get a shipping invoice, which is 200 quid, as they say in the UK.
You pre-ordered it that long ago?
Yeah. As soon as it was made available. Because I bought my Hot Toys figures of Burt Ward and Adam West, and they didn't make many because they didn't sell well. And the reason that I bought, I mean, look, I grew up with the Corgi Batmobile was one of my favorite toys as a little kid, you know, and to have a 66 Batmobile, Hot Toys was going to make it. Thank God to Jazz Inc. and Yost and all the people, his whole family. They're magicians over there. And you know what? Fuck all those people that complain that everything is not just perfect. I mean, bro, it's a father-son. Why am I saying bro so much? It's a father-son operation. Father-son, daughters, wives. They're working their asses off, making dreams come true. And if the pinstriping isn't perfect, I don't care. It's like a garage kit. It's amazing what they're making. I also pre-ordered the Snowspeeder and the Batwing. Ooh. Don't tell Elizabeth, because I always have to make new excuses when big boxes show up. I'm like, no, baby. I mean, somebody sent this to me for free.
That's just works. Paper for the printer. Just paper.
Yeah, it never works. I mean, now what's great is she's in school now. Elizabeth is in school, and she comes home after I do. So it doesn't matter how big the box is. No one ever comes in the Raw Observatory. I can put it somewhere and pretend, yeah, I've had that for since 2015. I just never opened it. Or no, baby, it was in a storage locker, baby. What's up? So it's all good.
Nice. And my boss, Patrick, which is not my boss, he did get the Hot Toys figure, or the Burt Ward Batman, Adam West Batman, and the Robin 2, but he had to go to eBay to get it.
He got the Hot Toys versions?
Yeah.
Is he going to get the 66 the Batmobile to go with him?
Probably not. I don't know about that, but he got the two figures. But he had to go to eBay, Rob.
Yeah, and they're not going to be cheap, buddy. Not cheap. Yeah. So,
exactly.
Should we get to this show, this physical media show we do?
Yeah, Rob. Exactly.
Now I got something ready for you. First of all, I have a news story, but I know what you want to hear. And I got it. I got it prepped. You want to hear about the box office. You want to hear about the global box office. And by the way, as I predicted on the John Campea show, don't ever count Dwayne Johnson and Black Adam out. All these YouTube pundits, Black Adam's a failure. It's going to lose money. Come on, man. Look, if you're the eagle-eyed industry watcher as I am, I could tell you that isn't true. Halloween's always a soft weekend for movies. I know you're talking about your second weekend hold. We're talking third weekend for Black Adam. Bro, I am here to tell you, Black Adam. Let me read this headline from Deadline today. Anthony D'Alessandro tells us Black Adam gobbles up Crunchyroll's One Piece film Red at the box office with a beefy $18 million for its third weekend. Now, for those of you who don't know, One Piece, which is both a manga and anime phenomenon, like 1,000 episodes, a Crunchyroll did release. I mean, here's the thing. I just don't understand. Are American companies not understanding that there are other ways to make money than just making tentpole properties? Do you know what movie sailed across the $200 million mark this weekend?
Probably Smile.
Bro, that's why I do a show with you. Yes, Smile. 17 million spend. Maybe let's double that for marketing. I don't know. They did some. Even if they spent 50 million with marketing, a $17 million horror film from a first-time director has now grossed 200 million worldwide. What does this tell you? All right, I'll tell you what it tells you. You don't have to always swing for the fences. What you want is profitability. Now, I understand making a 200 or 150 million or $200 million movie that makes $1 billion is great. But what if you put out theatrically a $20 million movie that grossed 200 plus million every month? What if you did that? That's some good business right there. That fuels your streaming service. It adds value when Smile. You know, here's the thing. In a world where on streaming, when every single movie is reduced to the same size thumbnail, no one gives a fuck anymore how much that movie cost. All they care about is time. Are you going to fill their time with entertainment? If you get 90 minutes of time, when people are watching a 90-minute or a 2-hour movie, they do not care whether the movie cost $17 million or $200 million. And that's what people do not understand in the streaming world. Everyone thinks they need to spend all of this money. Let's make a $200 million movie with Gal Gadot, Ryan Reynolds, and Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
So Netflix is spending that money, equating somehow a big budget and star power is going to translate to viewing numbers. So I offer you Squid Game. They didn't know. No. Smile will generate huge views on whatever stream. I guess it's Paramount Plus. Because it already has been given tremendous value through its theatrical release. But when you go to streaming, it's the great equalizer. I look at my shelf of 4K discs and the things that I really love, like, hey, Apocalypse Now in 4K. It's amazing. By the way, it is amazing in 4K. But you know what? It makes me sad, but the streaming services have completely taken away prestige from movies. They really have. Nobody cares when you. So anyway, enough of my rant. Let's get back to what you want to hear.
Rob, Terrifier. Is it across the 10 million mark?
Well, we'll get to that. Here, let me jump into this.
Yeah.
So this is, again, this morning, the box office from Deadline. Before Disney Marvel's Wakanda Forever comes in and does $175 to $200 million next weekend, providing a complete rebirth to the domestic box office, don't knock New Line's Black Adam this weekend, which had a fantastic hold of down 33%. For a third weekend of 18.5 million. The total running domestic cum stands at 137.4 million. Now, no one knew who Black Adam was, so this is great. Some rivals have snarked to me about the big cost for this movie at 200 million before P&A, that Black Adam won't profit like Johnson's Fast and the Furious spinoff Hobbs and Shaw, which had the benefit of 200 million out of China. Again, Universal only got a 25% rental there and a better exchange rate. That film doing 759 million worldwide and yielding an 84 million net profit after all ancillaries. Black Adam will be lucky to top out at 400 million worldwide. Again, Warner's couldn't have seen that strong dollar coming abroad. Two quick thoughts. In some ways, we're still in a marketplace of rebuild, and you could argue that this was a pricey pick to start a deep universe DC franchise. Then again, it's a rock movie with the same production price tag as Hobbs and Shaw. However, stateside, we can't throw shade on Black Adam. This movie is the biggest thing in the market right now, spurring concession sales for exhibition over the last 3 weekends. It came out of the gate as Johnson's top solo opening with $67 million. Black Adam's third weekend boasts a better hold and box office in its third weekend than Hobbs and Shaw, which had a down 44% and $14.1 million. The Pic's running total is pacing 3% ahead of Hobbs and Shaw at the same point in time. Black Adam even had a better third weekend than San Andreas and is also ahead of that film's running U.S.-Canadian total. Crunchyroll's One Piece Film Red is missing the $10 million outlook it had yesterday AM with a $9.47 million opening. The Toei Animation co-production looks to top out at $20 million at the end of its short theatrical run, which is typically where these anime movies from Crunchyroll begin. The film is available subtitled or dubbed in English. Fans showed up, and fans alone, giving the movie an A Cinema score. Audience exits on ComScore's Screen Engine post-track saw an 88% positive leading, 76% guys, 75% between 18 to 34. So, look, man, Crunchyroll knows what's up. They're releasing these films. They don't even have to do any marketing because they just market them on their own platform of Crunchyroll. Yep. They already have the anime crowd. They all show up. Another good business model.
And when One Piece Red came out here in the same weekend when Halloween Ends started, it did make more business than Halloween Ends that weekend here in Germany. Just
because you know what? The industry, unfortunately, the big studios, they don't know fuck all about anime. They don't know anything about it. So they're not on that bandwagon. I mean, but that's okay. Let Crunchyroll do what Crunchyroll does, because if the studios don't understand, and they don't understand much these days. And by the way, tonight I'm doing a Robservations about the Warner Brothers earning call, specifically what David Zaslav told investors. I got the transcript. I'm going to read it. If that shit bores you, fine. If not, come on in. Come on in for the big win.
Considering Black Adam, do we know anything about China at the moment, Rob?
No.
Or is it a no-go?
I looked. I've heard rumors. The Reddit rumors are saying that, well, it's not going to China anymore because Pierce Brosnan wore a necklace in an interview that supported the Dalai Lama, or it looked like some shit like that. And, when Chinese social media turns against you, and they do, who knows what's going to happen? I haven't heard anything one way or another, but definitely Black Adam could benefit from those Chinese dollars or Chinese yuan. So, anyway. Fox Searchlight's Banshees of Inisherin. It made $2 million, and it didn't wow. It didn't wow because, Americans, what can we do? Focus Features also dropped Armageddon Time, and it only made $805 per theater. James Gray's movie. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It only has less than $1 million for 10 days. Cate Blanchett in Tar has made a stateside total of $3.7 million.
Good things about the movie.
I know, it's too bad. The Woman King is A Ticket to Paradise with George Clooney and Julia Roberts. It's only down 14% in its third weekend. It was already a hit in Europe. It has a running domestic cum of $46.7 million, and the African warrior epic The Woman King has made $65 million domestically. Pray for the Devil, a movie I think or heard is terrible, has only made $13.6 million. And let me tell you, Deets.
Yeah.
Number 10. Coming up.
Okay.
Number 10. Terrifier 2. Has a domestic cum of $9.8 million. So it has not crossed $10 million, but it is close. God bless those.
Close.
And for those of you in the know, Terrifier 2 has started its Oscar campaign.
Exactly, Rob.
So the
screeners will be going out.
Let's hear it for that. Let's hear it for that. So there you go. That's the box office.
Nice.
So Lyle Crocodiles made $36.5 million. And Smile domestically has made $99.1 million, almost crossed $100 million domestically. God bless everybody over there. You did a fine job.
So it's a 50-50 split between domestic and international, almost.
Yes.
Considering mine.
Now,
Nice.
we have a news story that you made me aware of, that Tom Jr. Jackson made you aware of.
Yeah.
I would like to jump into,
Okay.
if I may. Why Tom Jr. Jackson didn't send me this, I don't know. Maybe he thought I already saw it. Come on, Tom.
He wanted, but he did send it to me first. He was in the live chat this
okay.
This
it's
morning.
Okay. I think this is really fascinating. So I'm glad we're going to share this. You're going to disappear for a minute while I read this story.
No problem.
I hope no one. You'll see yourself though. You'll see this on live on the feed. This is a really interesting story. So this comes to us from IndieWire. Christian Zilko wrote this yesterday. Andrew Stanton reached out to Criterion about WALL-E because he, quote, wanted to be in the club. The Criterion Collection's upcoming reissue of WALL-E will mark the first time that a Pixar film has been released as part of the prestigious home video series. The move comes at a cultural moment when animators and their fans have been fighting to see animation legitimized as a filmmaking medium. So many will be thrilled to see a Pixar film recognized as part of the prestigious collection. But other cinephiles are concerned about Criterion's increased openness to commercial films and have expressed disappointment about how the art house haven now collaborates with companies like Netflix and Disney. By the way, Criterion has collaborated with Disney in the past. And they're putting out Power of the Dog. It is a Jane Campion film, so slow your roll, cinephiles. Combined with the company's recent round of layoffs, some worried that the beloved Criterion Collection might be going in a new direction. Yeah, perhaps the direction that makes money. As it turns out, the reissue of WALL-E was not the result of a strategic shift for the company. It was a unique project driven by one filmmaker's passion for cinema. In a new interview with IndieWire's David Ehrlich, WALL-E director Andrew Stanton spoke about the process of collaborating with Criterion on the project. He revealed that he reached out to the company on his own because he believed that the many allusions to silent films and other classic cinema made WALL-E a natural fit for the Criterion Collection. Quote, "It felt like it was a love letter to everything from cinema that I took in from my youth." Stanton said, "Because of that, I felt like it had a chance to be appreciated by Criterion. So I put an olive branch or a bat signal to them, and that was just before the pandemic. They said they were interested, which was exciting, but then the pandemic hit. We got serious about it last year. It was a real endorsement that they thought there was a there. When asked if the WALL-E deal was part of a larger, this is very disappointing. When asked if the WALL-E deal was part of a larger partnership between Disney and Criterion, Stanton made it very clear that this was a one-off project driven purely by his passion for the Criterion Collection. Not at all, he said. It was filmmaker-driven. If it's anything, it was driven by my own filmmaker ego of wanting to be in the club. First of all, Tom Jr. Jackson, you goof person, thanks for bringing this article to our attention. I ask you, Dietz, first of all, what did you think of WALL-E being put out by Criterion? And second, how do you feel about hearing that it's a one-off? That I really thought, look, Andrew Stanton, I've got one for you. I got two words that I'd love to see on the Criterion Collection. John Carter. Why didn't you make a 2-picture deal, bruh? Anyway, John Carter in 4K. So Dietz,
that would be something to see that movie coming
dude,
out.
I love John Carter. John Carter
from Criterion.
Bob Iger, you know the Rob Burnett theory. Bob Iger shafted Stanton, shafted that movie because he didn't want anything to stand in the way of the acquisition of Lucasfilm and Star Wars. I know people think, oh, Rob, that's not true. It is true. One day it's going to come out. It's totally true, and I totally understand why he did it. Business is business. How do you feel about this? What do you think about Andrew Stanton saying that it was a one-off? I mean, God bless his filmmaker ego. WALL-E deserves to be on the Criterion Collection. I really wish Disney would, with Disney basically foregoing physical media, give it to Criterion. Why not? You got it on Disney Plus. It's not going to affect your bottom line at all. Give me what I want. Give me Criterion Disney titles. How do you feel about it?
For me, it would be interesting how this deal was coming about, considering I think Disney has a say in it, if Criterion can put out that disc or that movie that they own. So I would be really curious to see how the business mechanics have worked for such a deal for just that one movie. And I think we were totally under the impression this is just the first of many Disney movies that will come out on
or Fox titles.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, man, I'd love to see Lightstorm titles come out under Criterion.
That it is the only one that is coming out on Criterion makes it almost now a must-have for me, Rob.
You got to have it. I mean, it's going to look It's going to look. That disc is going to look incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
So, but it's nice. It's nice to know that this was just a one-off thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like that he did it. I'm really happy that he did it, but I wish we were going to get more. By the way, our friend Kevin Wellborn has been a member of the channel for 8 months. And, people have asked me about on this channel about super chats and tips. There's 2 different ways to contact us when we're live. The super chats and tips. Some people don't like using super chats. That's fine. You can, there's a tip. You can go into the link and use a tip feature if you want. I don't usually say that. People just do it. I just say it. You don't have to do it, but that's true. It's there. And so where are we at? What do you want to talk about next, Dietz, before we get into it?
Perhaps just some movies that I saw yesterday, Rob, because I went the Chris Gore way and did a little bit of a movie diet yesterday, I watched 3 films, totally different vibes. And considering I was really looking forward for this movie, and I was hoping, he was on the John Campea show, that you would make some connection, or at least give me a screen or 2, of course. Talking about Scott Adkins' new one, Accident Man, A Hitman's Holiday, which I was there today, which is the sequel to, of course, the first one, Accident Man. And at first it was called Accident Man 2, but then they changed the title just in Hitman's Holiday, probably just so that you need...
It's because of Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson. Come on, man.
More that you don't be under the impression that you have to see the first one. And you actually don't have to see the first one to enjoy the second one. Great fights. Once again, a little bit wonky CGI here and there. Okay. We'll have to put an eye out for some of the CGI stuff. But totally had a nice time with it. The only thing, Rob, at the end, every character has, like a comic title card, with the actor attached to it. And there was one of the actresses, which I was expecting her title card to come up, that I would know her name finally, but didn't show up. And I thought, did I miss something? Then I said, okay, let's look at the cast credits at the end, where she is. The cast wrote by in the credits. I don't know. I don't find this woman here listed at all. Okay, then next, go to the IMDb. Looking through the cast of the movie, and at the last on the list, she was there, uncredited. I was okay. Why is the woman want to be uncredited for the movie, for the role? I have no idea. And a little Google search, Rob, brought something nice out. The actress is called Sarah Pythian. And she is not credited in the movie and didn't get the title card because of this, Rob. Hollywood actress Sarah Pythian has been sentenced to 8 years in prison. This is reported by the BBC. A court in Nottingham, England, ruled that Pythian and her husband, Victor Mark, a martial arts instructor, sexually abused a girl 14 times. So this is why she wasn't credited at all in Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday. Okay.
Well, and this is why we love you, Dieter, because you went the extra mile. You were curious. You delved into what happened and you uncovered a crime and you exposed Sarah. First of all, I don't know how much I would trust a woman named Sarah Pythian myself. Is she going to strangle you? Is she going to slowly crush the life out of you? I would be scared. Not to make, first of all, not to make light of what they've done. Let's be clear. This is the first time I'm hearing about this, and my natural inclination
me too.
is to make a joke. This is terrible, and but it's fascinating from a business perspective that was done.
Because every character of the movie, every bigger character is on the poster, but she is not. But she has really a longer fight sequence in the movie, and she was, I think, in Doctor Strange 2. In Doctor Strange, in the first one, she had a little bit of a role, or as a stunt woman too. So I really was surprised to find something like that out about the movie. Okay, what you can do. Now we have, the old discussion separating the art from the artist, and I'm sorry, people, I can't do a background check every time I watch a movie about 200 people that worked on the movie. But I was really surprised to find that out. Didn't know it at all. But on the other hand, Ron, had a good time with it. Totally one of my favorite franchises. And considering my friend Scott, if we taken away TV stuff, and let's say 2 movies count to say it's a franchise, he probably has the most franchises of any actor that I know. He has the Undisputed franchise, he has the Ninja franchise, he has the Accident Man franchise, and the Debt Collector that I think I sent it you, the both movies the Debt Collector movie. So he has 4 franchises. I don't know if any other actor has 4 franchises under his belt. Then, considering, like Chris Gore always said, movie diet after just martial arts action stuff. Of course, J-Lo is back, Rob. I watched.
Okay, you know what? I wasn't. I have to say now, I wasn't going. I was worried that you might have had a hospitalization or something. That a new J-Lo movie dropped. I want to make sure you were safe. Like you didn't. By the way, you didn't go on Facebook and say Dieter Bastian marked safe after the release of new J-Lo movie.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, maybe Saarbrücken had to get out the emergency EMTs to like revive you from a heart attack. I don't know. Could have happened. Who am I to say? But I was thinking about you, but I wasn't going to bring it up. Now the real question is, this looks like a top shelf performance from J-Lo, and actually it's J-Law, not J-Lo. Let me get this straight.
Exactly.
J-Lo is somebody else. J-Lo is somebody that married Batman.
We're breaking the law
for the first time. Breaking the law. It's J-Law. So look at that. I once again shoot my credibility in the foot. But J-Law, now I give you the floor. What did you think of this performance? Obviously, I mean, she was looking a little dowdy because her character was supposed to be that way. But it does not hide her incredible beauty and hotness. And we're all hungry for J-Law. So what happened? What do you think of the movie?
I quite enjoyed it because, of course, I'm a little biased, Rob. I wouldn't count that out.
No, you're biased?
Her biggest strength is when she underplays stuff, not over the top, just underplaying stuff. And that is one of her greatest strengths. And it is a drama, of course. It is not for everyone. For some, it would be boring, of course. But I liked that it is just 94 minutes. It had a little bit of an open-ended. I was expecting that. It had nice performance, especially Brian Tyree Henry, which we all just saw in Bullet Train. So it was a really nice 2 soulmates who both have some traumatic experience to get through, and they try to do it together. So really, for me, really good movie. Back to our roots, back to Poker House, back to Winter's Bone.
Back to Poker House.
Yeah, exactly, Rob. You don't know that movie, even if you should have watched it. Okay,
I own it because of you.
Exactly, Rob. Just watch Poker House and then get back to me again. So for me, back to our roots, nice one. And this is totally a movie that is well has the right place to be on a streaming platform. This is not a movie I would say you have to go out to see it in a theater. This is totally nice for watching as a streaming movie. So for me, a good 7 out of 10 for me, considering Causeway. You have seen it too, Rob?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh no, okay. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
but that's not to say I won't watch it, because I too am a fan of. Look, I like Passengers.
Me too, Rob.
I do, and call me crazy, but I want to see that movie get made for a long time. And Jennifer Lawrence has never phoned in a performance, with the exception of maybe Dark Phoenix. That she got killed early on, so who cares? But I'm a huge fan of hers. I love her personality. I love her whenever she's on a talk show, I'll watch it. I'm glad she's back making movies, because I think she's an incredibly talented actress. And it's good to see her back. And I like when she's in that more, whether it was Joy or Silver Linings Playbook or and the trailers to me look really good. So I'm glad to hear you liked it.
Yeah. Nice. And then one of my favorites of this year, of course, was X from Ty West. And finally, yesterday, I got to see the prequel, which is, of course, is called Pearl. And nice one. Not as good as X, but a nice companion piece to X. And I loved, of course, that some German is being spoken in the movie, which was nice to hear. And it is a great companion piece to X, considering the farmhouse is in pristine condition. Everything looks nice, shiny, and with some nice colors. So, and great performance, of course, from Mia Goth, who has at the end a monologue, I think about 4 or 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, with no cutting away. Totally good companion piece, and I'm totally looking forward for Maxine. And if Ty West will stick the landing with Maxine, this will be a nice, fine horror trilogy, considering what he has done here. So for me, great. Like Chris Gore always said, the movie died. I got action, I got drama, and I got a horror flick yesterday, Rob. What can you?
I don't know. I mean, to me, that's living your best life. Is what I have to say about that. By God, excellent. Well done.
And the only other thing I saw on Tuesday or Monday, doesn't matter, on HBO Max, Rob, I watched See How They Run.
What did you think of that?
I always love my murder mysteries, because I'm bad in guessing the murder. Had a good time with it. For me, no spoilers, but the ending, who is behind it, came a little bit out of left field. I didn't think that we didn't get enough stuff that you could put the pieces together on your own. It was just, this is the
interesting
killer. Okay, so I was not too thrilled with the ending, and it wasn't like I like the stuff, like the detective has to say, you are the culprit, but it didn't play out that way. It did go a little bit of a different route. So, and then I don't know if you have to know the theatrical, the mousetrap theatrical stuff to know the movie a little bit more, considering who was behind it. So it came for me a little bit out of not nowhere, but I don't think you didn't get enough material for yourself to put the pieces together that you could, as a viewer, for yourself say, this could be the killer. It came a little bit out of nowhere, the ending. But nice movie on streaming.
Along with, unfortunately, that's one of the movies along with Barbarian, which, of course, as you watched Barbarian this week as well, and you wrote to me that you liked it, right?
Yeah, totally. Great trip.
Yeah, and not, it doesn't look like, producer Roy Lee actually told me directly that that they had recorded an audio commentary for it. And maybe that was for the digital release, or maybe it's, going to be eventually on Disney Plus. But he was under the impression that they were going to do a physical release of it. Maybe they're not going to do it domestic. Maybe someone else will pick it up. But also, See How They Run is not getting a physical release from Disney. This is very distressing. Obviously, I don't know why. If there's one crowd of people, they'll be the last people to be buying physical media. It's the horror crowd, because
Totally.
whether it's Mondo posters or action figures or the horror crowd loves its totemic representations of stuff, and horror films, especially boutique labels, whether it's Scream Factory or Second Sight or even Kino, putting out things. The horror crowd will buy stuff. It's really disappointing that there's no plans for Barbarian to get a full-blown physical release.
Yeah.
And since they're not, and since it wasn't an expensive movie to make, I don't know if that factors into the licensing costs. I would love to see Second Sight do a deluxe version of Barbarian. And I would hope that, maybe Roy Lee could exert some pressure and have Second Sight put something like that out, which would be tremendous if they did. I don't know if he ever would do that. I mean, it's not like I can tell Roy Lee what to do, but it would be nice to see that, because I think Barbarian deserves it.
Yeah. Let's keep our hopes up that we will get a release for Barbarian. Okay, this was what I have seen, considering just streaming, Rob.
Well,
where do we go from here?
Well, I think I got some stuff to show. I had a pretty good haul this week, and there was something pretty exciting that I have to give a shout out. One of my good friends in high school, Clark Von Trotha, he's based in Portland. His company does high-end home theater design, and I don't know the name of his actual company. Otherwise, I would give it a shout out. But Clark is a fanatical movie fan. He's worked in the music industry. He was one of the guys in high school. We'd always go to the opening of movies. We'd go to film festivals and art house openings. And so Clark and I go back 40 years or whatever. Clark reminded me of this release that came out from Severin, the House of Psychotic Women, that I brought up last week, but I hadn't actually got it. So some of these movies people told me are on Shudder, like this Elizabeth Taylor film. And even Clark called me up and said, have you seen, there's a movie in here called I Like Bats. So yeah, it says on the back of the box, 4 long unseen visions of female madness with 13 hours of special features. Now, there are 4 films in here, and first of all, I love Severin. Severin does a fucking great job. This packaging with that matte finish, that Second Sight uses. I mean, this whole thing, it's so well done. So there's 4 films in here. There's Elizabeth Taylor, Identikit, which I've never seen. It's on Shudder, apparently. Yeah. The Other Side of the Underneath by Jane Arden. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? Look at that cover. Footprints. And then, of course, I Like Bats, which Clark said was a great 80s vampire movie. So those are the 4 films in this set. Now, I have not delved into this set yet, but the inspiration, which I also didn't know, the inspiration for this set is actually a book. And it was released originally in 2012, and they recently reissued it last month. And I got it. I got the book.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram. Exactly.
Yeah, The House of Psychotic Women. I'm about halfway through this. Now, it's written by Kirla Janice, and she has done programming for Fantastic Fest, and she has an incredible pedigree. And this is kind of it's sort of her journey through female exploitation cinema of all different kinds. This I want to say, FAB Press out of the UK published this. This is fantastic. This book is fan-fucking-tastic. Not only is her prose and her writing, I thought it was terrific. I mean, as far as academics go, it's great. And I mean, then there's sections with posters. This is just a fantastic. Her text is amazing. Her writing is great. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. And there's a lot of movies in here she covers that I hadn't seen. There's a lot of movies I have seen. But this is a really, really, really interesting book. And
And she covers the 4 movies that are in the set?
Yes.
Okay.
And so kudos. I don't know how this happened, but you can see obviously, there's some synergy going on here.
Yeah.
I would tell everybody that get this book if you're interested in. I mean, sometimes I think I live in a house of psychotic women, so I didn't necessarily need this book. But that's a joke. But this is really cool, and really, really pleased to see something like this get released by Severin. And at the same time, Fab Press re-releases this book, and there's a lot. This is a very meaty, very thick, heavy tome. And her writing is terrific. I didn't know who she was. And I'm sorry I didn't. You know, it's not like she's Maitland McDonough, who I love, and I've been reading her for years. But this, she's gone to the top of my list of female film pundits, and really, really, really enjoyed getting this. So kudos to both Severin and to Fab Press for coordinating the re-release. I mean, this is the new version of the book. There's a 2012 version, but this is the version to get, and very, very cool. So I'm very, very excited. Other things that I picked up now, you know, I talk about George Feltenstein. We talk about Warner Archive. I love George Feltenstein. He's been in the physical media business for 4 decades. I mean, the man is a treasure. I tried calling him. I hadn't heard back. I know that it's crazy over at Warner Brothers, but I gotta say, the reason we know and love George Feltenstein is because of shit like this. This is 91 years old, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This comes out from Warner Archive, obviously. Ruben Mamoulian's production of this Frederick March film. This disc is essential. If you're a horror film fan, a classic film fan, George was telling me about this transfer. I know it's only Blu-ray. 4K, I don't know. I mean, I want everything in 4K now, but this disc is incredible. The transfer of this film, it looks spectacular. 91-year-old film. My God, everybody should have this in their collection. It's not expensive. It is, boy, what a joy this was to watch. And kudos to everybody at Warner Archive. I think maybe, I don't want to say MPI is their in-house. It's on the lot. Okay. They do transfers, motion picture imaging. I would imagine they did this there. If they didn't, I apologize. Let's give the credit to MPI anyway, because they've done great work in the past. Maybe not for this, but if they did do this, wow, chef's kiss. Got to get this disc. It's so good. It's so good. And the movie is really good, too. You know, it's like when you go back and you watch Bride of Frankenstein, you're like, wow, this is so good. This is really, really good. Everybody buy it. I don't mean to belabor the point, but I'm going to belabor it because you should buy it, if only to support the efforts of George Feltenstein and everybody at Warner Archive. David Zaslav, the Acts of Zaslav. Warner Archive is a treasure, and everything they do, you put on HBO Max. As a matter of fact, I would fucking brand a section on HBO Max. Make it Warner Archive. Make it Warner Archive, and have George Feltenstein, make him, he's a dynamic speaker. I love talking to him. Make him like Robert Osborne was on, was AMC or TMC, Turner Classic Movies. George Feltenstein could be the new Robert Osborne. You know, I mean.
A little intro for every movie.
Yeah, man. He should do it. Speaking of Severin, finally, had to get, you know what I've started? I've decided to put all, not just my steelbooks, but all of my 4K discs into these packages to keep them, especially when they got, because what's great about them is if you do that, you can just pop them off the top, right? And you don't even have to take the package out. You just slide the disc out, it comes right out. Look at that, double different covers. Again, Severin knows what's up, but I'm really going to put, I've decided to, you know what? I believe in segregation now. I believe in segregating my 4K discs away from my lowly Blu-rays, and the DVDs are dwindling. But I never thought I'd be doing this. I thought it was just going to be, but I realized, why not? How cool is that? Plus, they look cool when you put them on the shelf. I mean, yeah, it's a little reflective, but it's reflective, not reflective. But I had to get this, and you know what? I was worried this was going to look like shit. It's an upgrade. Get this. It's an upgrade. Total upgrade. Get it. Wow. And Scream Factory or Shout Select, the 4K of The Last Detail. Hal Ashby's The Last Detail with Jack Nicholson in 4K. Again, see? Put it in the thing. It just gives it. I love this movie. There's great swearing in this movie. A great Jack Nicholson performance. Finally got this. It's out. Awesome. And then there is, with you in a J-Lo movie, a J-Law movie, I got to say this. I know this is going to come as no surprise to anyone, but this is what Amazon said, that it was shipped to me, then, sorry, we don't know when it's going to show up. Finally showed up. This disc, the quality of this image was so good that my 3 dogs came and joined me on the couch and were mesmerized by, I put the picture up on Instagram, were mesmerized by this transfer. Now, I don't know, because it was the first 4K image they'd ever seen. Maybe it was the fact that the IMAX aspect ratio was preserved and it went in between the aspect ratios. This has got to be, strictly for presentation alone, in terms of picture and sound, this has got to be, if not the best disc of the year, certainly in contention as one of the best.
Exactly.
I mean, and you all know what I'm going to say.
Yeah,
it's certainly the disc of the week. You know what it is. This is my limited edition steelbook of Top Gun Maverick. Did you watch it?
Yeah, totally.
It's astonishing.
It comes with a little bit of lenticular.
Oh, nice. See, I didn't get that.
I actually love your cover more, Rob. And I was expecting my steelbook under the lenticular to find your cover.
Yeah.
But it is the same. It is the same. And on the 4K, there is the exclusive interview with Tom that he did in Cannes.
Yes.
With an interview, which is, of course, on YouTube also. But considering me as the cover junkie that I am, I had to get, Rob, the 2-pack because I just love the cover artwork.
I had got I love the cover of the first Top Gun steelbook in 4K, which I have.
Yeah.
But I can't, that image, dude. Oh my God. It is. Someone says, this might be a reference disc. Oh, make no mistake. It's a reference disc. How loud did you play it?
Actually, Rob, I was putting it up 5 dB over my normal setting, but the disc was so great, I did go down 5. It was totally great. I didn't need the volume.
So good. So good.
Exactly. And Rob, just for me, it was better than this digital streaming version that I bought, considering just the sound. But considering my setup, I only get Dolby Digital Plus sound from the streaming stuff.
Right.
I don't get Dolby Atmos. So I just got the normal stuff. Here, I did get the Dolby True HD the Dolby True HD Core, German, Core, and totally fine. Totally fine.
Fantastic. And then finally from Zavvi, I got a box from Zavvi. I was like, I wonder sometimes now. 4K. Ooh.
Rob, wait. Rob, you
oh,
take
yeah.
everything away from me. I don't have anything to show.
That's okay, man. We can do it. We can do it together. You can read the letters. I mean,
didn't get anything.
And I love that we both got the same cover. I had to get the theatrical cover.
And you can switch the inside, Rob.
Which I did. I mean, love it. You gotta. They give you something else. I too think like you. Had to go with this. And by the way, I know it's interesting because Criterion released this already, and it's an incredible package. But it's not 4K. Not 4K. And it's got that sweet that matte finish cover that Arrow they do such a good job.
That nice smell.
I never thought that I would get Crash and Videodrome in 4K. I mean, thank God the world we live in. You know what? Despite all the shitty things that are going to happen on Tuesday for our election here in America, when crazy election deniers and Marjorie Taylor Greene's crowd is going to get elected, hey, and if you want to vote for those people, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But think about it. They didn't build the Webb telescope. Just saying. It's incredible that we live in a world that we now have Videodrome and Crash. Now I need every other Cronenberg movie. Dude, I'm thirsty. You know what? I think I want to start making.
Help me, Rob. Was this the special cover, and the other was the original cover?
I don't know. Look, I don't know
anymore.
which. I got this because it was a theatrical cover. I mean, it's the key art, so I had to get it.
Okay.
I liked it better anyway.
Yeah.
By the way, did you unfold?
But I don't.
Wait, did you unfold that poster? Did you show the whole thing?
No.
Okay, what's really interesting? Show the red side of that poster, and look at how they build it. Because Debbie Harry, it's obviously James Woods, but look at how I believe that's a recreation of. So look at what it says there. Debbie Harry, Videodrome. First, it controlled her mind, then it destroyed her body. Videodrome. It made it look, that artwork made it look, and James Woods was like co-starring with Deborah Harry. Very interesting. I think it was kudos to Arrow for putting that in there, because obviously they were making a statement. God damn, you know what? I know Arrow was bought by Zavvi, but god damn do I love Arrow. You know, Arrow, Second Sight, love what you guys do. 4K Videodrome.
Unbelievable.
And of course, if you were a betting man, and I know you are, you would have said, well, Rob, if your Videodrome came, did your Count Yorga vampire set come too?
No.
Mine did. Count Yorga Vampire, which, by the way, I got to say, I like Count Yorga Vampire. I didn't know that there were 2 Count Yorga Vampire movies, but there are.
There you go.
There's Return of Count Yorga, and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the Return of Count Yorga. And again, like Arrow does, one of their great boxes. This is only Blu-ray, but I don't care. That's the way you make a video cover, people. Look at that. That's some true artwork. And of course, the movies are in here. They got great special features, and like Arrow does, I love their books. They might be my favorite books. I mean, they're always thick and beefy, and they got great essays and articles and pictures and all that. So I always find Arrow's packages informative, and I learned something. I feel that they're academic. And so there you go. I got that. And then I got one last thing to show this week. One last thing.
Okay.
Now, one of my very favorite TV shows of the 1980s, and I brought this up, is Wise Guy. Wise Guy, it sort of was a precursor to something like Donnie Brasco. It starred Ken Wall as Vinny Terranova, Jonathan Banks, Mike from Breaking Bad, and he played Frank McPike. And Terranova would go undercover, and it was the first series that I remember that had long, multiple episode arcs. Kevin Spacey burst onto the scene in an arc where he played Mel Prophet in the first season of Wise Guy, and the great Ray Sharkey, who died, did the first season of Wise Guy had 2 very long arcs, one with Ray Sharkey and one with Kevin Spacey. Now, here's the thing about Wise Guy. The music rights have always been an issue. And they had a problem, and some of the episodes of Wise Guy, the Dead Dog Records storyline where Vinny Terranova went undercover in the music industry, had never been released before in syndication or on home video because they didn't have the music rights issues. Now, famously, the climax of the first arc in the first season with Ray Sharkey used the Moody Blues Nights in White Satin. They were not able to fix those rights issues, but here it is, all 4 seasons of Wise Guy. Now, I don't know. I suspect these are upscales. I don't think they went back to the negatives. I don't know, but I've had these on DVD. I bought them when they first came out, but now I have it on Blu-ray. I mean, these are not reference quality discs.
From which company, Rob?
It is a strange company that I look on here and I don't even know. Like, it's VEI. I was looking on Reddit for reviews of this. There are people that couldn't even verify that this had even come out. This company
doesn't even exist.
As far as I know, this company is a serious sketchathon. I don't know what they're doing. Look, hey, one of my favorite shows. If nothing else, I got the Dead Dog record stuff. I'd have to go in and really look and see which music is replaced or not.
Yeah.
The Knights in White Satin, everyone wants to know, the penultimate episode of the Sonny Steelgrave arc with Ray Sharkey, they do not have Knights in White Satin. But this is my haul for the week. I'm happy to have this. Again, another DVD set goes out the window, or maybe to Amoeba, I traded in. Now I have Wise Guy on Blu-ray. So if you've never seen the show, you can find it. There's some really weird, there's almost a precursor to Twin Peaks. But, I mean, Fred Dalton Thompson played a racist named Knox Pooley. The first William Russ playing the great Roger Lococo. Mario Van Peebles, they went in. They do an arc in Washington D.C. with corruption, which is awesome. The first episode was directed by Mario Van Peebles. I mean, this is a crazy show, and if you like undercover cop stories, really good, really interesting, a weird artifact from a strange time. And in the fourth season, lead Ken Wall was not there, replaced by Stephen Bauer. And then they did, unfortunately, they did a Wise Guy TV movie in the 90s where they brought back Ken Wall, not on this set, unfortunately. I was hoping it might be. It's not. One day, somebody should release that. They probably won't, because 6 of us would buy it, and one would be me, and one would be Mark Altman, and the other would be Ed Gross, and the other 3 people, I have no idea. But anyway, Wise Guy, really happy to have this. And yes, you people on Reddit, it does exist, and I own it. So there you go. That's my haul for the week, Dietz. Now I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, but I will only...
Oh, you only have...
Yeah.
Well, you show the rest of what you got and read letters, and I will be right back.
Okay. Considering what I have... What I've seen this week, Rob was speaking of Stephen Bauer, and I had no idea that he was in The Beast, which I bought back some months back from Inbred, and I haven't seen the movie in a long time. Probably the last time was really on VHS, and I totally forgot how great the movie actually is. And it comes with a 2-hour documentary of the movie from Inbred. Only thing, the transfer is not particularly new or fresh, so this could really use some upgrade, but I totally forgot that how great the movie was. And I didn't know that Stephen Bauer was in the movie playing Murad. So it was nice to see this movie again. Totally forgot how great The Beast is. Another one I saw was A Cat in the Bag, I believe 2 weeks ago. Project Gemini. Unfortunately, this is not a good Cat in the Bag. The biggest problem is not the visual quality. It's a Russian movie, and the Russian movies in general, considering sci-fi, visually, they're really appealing. The problem here again is like with the movie Super Deep. They did shoot the movie in English so that it could appeal more to an international audience. The problem is they are not, like myself, not native English speakers, and it looks, and you hear that they ADR, every dialogue had to be ADR'd later. The performances were not great to begin with, but with the ADR stuff, it did sound like an audiobook where the instruction from the director was, let's make the lamest audiobook ever. So the performances were not great, and with that ADR stuff, with the English stuff, unfortunately not good. But from a visual standpoint, really good. I hope at some point they can fit both together. So Project Gemini, not really a recommendation on my end. Then this is just, I got an exchange disc, a German exchange disc for Everything Everywhere All at Once, because there was some stuff saying on the web that the German U4K disc is too dark. So I got an exchange disc, but I haven't watched the German one, so don't know about that. On the other hand, in the live chat last week, we'll get to it, but I haven't started. I'm really looking forward to starting the Garcia show on HBO Max that someone mentioned in the live chat, but I haven't delved into that. So, but I will just go through the live chat then until Rob gets back. So previously on Let's Get Physical Media last week, Altmetall. Dieter, let's do the Germ X edition because Roberto Strauss has his Latin X-Men. But considering my wonky English, Altmetall, we already have a Germ X edition with Let's Get Physical Media here. Eucalyptus, Dieter, Evangelion fan. Unfortunately, I know about the show, but I don't know the show. I know about it, but I don't know the show. I only have seen that in Germany there will be a release of, I believe, the series in some steelbook edition. But anime is always not cheap when it gets released. Kondo 007. Dieter, should I buy Epsilon? No Escape from Turbine. I heard it's an upscaled 4K transfer. From my perspective, I don't have a 4K TV. It was the best that No Escape looked to me that I have ever seen. If an upscale is not really anything new, just that No Escape was definitely made on film, so there could be actually a camera negative that you could get a great 4K. But from my perspective, it is worth the money. You get new special features a little bit. So from my perspective, yes, you can buy it. Then Bill Barclay said,
I will want to point out that there are a lot of movies, especially movies of the last 20 years, big budget films too, like the Marvel movies. A lot of them were shot with higher resolution cameras, 4K, 5K, 6K, but they were finished at 2K. Even the biggest tentpole properties, because the visual effects are finished. So a lot of the time we do get upscales. Now, obviously, if a movie is upscaled, especially if it was originated on photochemical on film, it's a big disappointment. But unfortunately, that's what you have to deal with. I like to look into that. I mean, I don't feel the need to replace a film in my collection unless it is, especially if it's a movie shot on film, unless they go back to the negative. So it is disappointing because they should have for No Escape.
Okay. Then Bill Barclay asked, when's Snope coming out on Blu-ray in Germany? In 2 weeks. So I still will have to wait on that. Sega, I already got my 4K Steelbook of Top Gun Maverick, like we all hopefully did this week. Victor Fontaine said, considering last week the box office, that 45% drop for Black Adam was worldwide. Domestic had a 59% drop. The international box office is carrying Black Adam. Okay. Robin Shopper.
As we know, last week was Halloween in the United States, which is traditionally a very soft weekend at the box office. And it did have a great hold domestically.
Okay, nice. Roman Chopper said, metalhead somehow all loves horrors. I'm probably a fake metalhead. It's not a given, Roman, but it is a little bit tied to the music. Isn't that the new movie or documentary coming out, Rob, considering the fusion of heavy metal and
I'm sorry, which documentary?
On Blu-ray, I don't know the name anymore, but you made me aware of it, and I pre-ordered it. The history of metal and horror, something like.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the name of it either, but yes.
This is coming out. It was coming out, I believe, this week or last week. But I have pre-ordered it. It's one of the titles that I was hoping to get for this week, but I didn't.
Right.
Okay. Victor Fontaine, Art the Clown from Terrifier, is one evil, sadistic bastard. He won't stop. Exactly right. Then Lord Toth was in the chat, Rob. I don't know if you trademarked it. Your phrase, Rob, direct to screaming, especially for perhaps Shudder. Then Jim Utenberg, I don't know if he has German ties because his surname sounds a little bit like German to me. Jim Utenberg, Just saw Finnish coming-of-age horror film Hatching today. Really good. And finally, Jim, I got around to watching it too. Hatching, the Finnish movie. A really, really nice one, Rob. Don't want to give anything away. Had a great time with it. And the only fear that I had with the movie that everything that is happening was some form of she's just imagining it. But luckily, she wasn't. So from my perspective, Jim, for me, a recommendation too for the Finnish movie Hatching, which I believe is on Hulu in America, if anyone wants to watch it. Nice stuff from the Finnish people. And I was thinking about the super chat that we got into last week. For Malat, Dieter, your taste in cars and movies are the same, so it's more an Asian thing, perhaps? I have no idea. And Sega says, I haven't encountered a single Hispanic or Latin person who uses or even likes the Latin X term. Okay.
No, they don't, and that was kind of the point of the title.
Oh,
I mean, it's so funny to me. So for those of you who don't know, Roberto Suarez, who runs our member chats, and Alex Montano, who is Mexican but lives in Colombia now. He's in Colombia with his wife. They came to me and they said they wanted to start a all Spanish show on the Burnettwork. And I said, okay, like Midnight's Edge had a Spanish show. I'm like, that's a really cool idea. I love that idea. And they jokingly, they said, we want to call it the Latinx or Latin X-Men. At first, it was going to be X-Force. And I thought that was hilarious. They were laughing about it because no Latinos that I know like the term Latinx. It's because this was something that I thought that it was like American progressives or academics came up with. But in actuality, Roberto Suarez told me it was Puerto Rican academics that came up with the term Latinx. Either way, most Latin people that I know don't like the term. Somebody even wrote to me and said, Latinx is like the N-word. And I'm like, no, it's really not, but okay. So we did the first episode of Latin X-Force, and a lot of people, I put out the promo that, by the way, that they made. I didn't make the promo. They made it. And I thought it was funny. I thought it was pushing back against political correctness or whatever, and I thought it was fairly self-explanatory. But a lot of people were like attacking me. Well, Rob, Latinx. I mean, I got all kinds of pushback, and so did Alex and Roberto. I'm like, wow, okay. So no one's paying attention to the fact that we have an all-Spanish show on the Burnettwork. They're mad about the name. This is the problem with our civilization. You're not seeing the forest through the trees. And it's frustrating. So they've agreed to change the title. And I asked them, I said, what's the title going to be? And they're like, we're not going to tell you. So next week when they do the second episode of whatever it's going to be called, I'm very proud to be hosting, just like I'm very proud to be hosting RM's show. I'm really proud that we're having, I mean, after all, it started out as the Burnettwork. I want people to put their shows on there, and I love the fact that we're doing an all Spanish-speaking show. But predictably, people get mad at they don't think about the fact that, oh, how interesting, you're doing an all Spanish-speaking show. Like Dieter, if you want to do an all German show, I'm all for it. You know, but nobody cares about that. It depends what you call it,
exactly.
Dieter. You know, it's the title of the show. That's the important thing. Not the fact that we have a Spanish-speaking show on the channel. Not that. Not the fact that we have an actual Puerto Rican and an actual Mexican who lives in Colombia now doing the show. Actually, real Latin folk doing the show. You know, not just some Americans that speak Spanish. I mean, these are people that speak Spanish as their first language. And anyway, yeah, no credit for that, but people get mad. So the thing is, I said to Alex and Roberto, I said, look, if you guys want to do this show and call it this, I will back you 100%. But they agreed because of the ridiculous pushback by people that, you know what Roberto said to me? He goes, you know, Rob, for all the people that posted on YouTube about how they objected to the title Latin X-Men, none of them posted their objections in Spanish. They were all in English. All the people that complained were in English. So my answer to those people is fuck you. If you're not even if you're gonna complain about the term Latinx, but you can't do it in Spanish, you're a fraud. You're a fraud, and take your performance activism and shove it up your ass. Because don't try and tell actual Latin people what to call their show. But in deference to everybody, we'll change it. We'll change it. And you know what? Why don't you support new independent creators that want to do a Spanish-speaking show? By the way, Roberto did an amazing 60-second video on how to use the translate function on YouTube so you can watch Latin X-Men or whatever they choose to call it, and it will translate for you in real time. So, hey,
Nice.
if we're not here doing the Lord's work, I don't know what to tell you. But you know what that also means to me? It means that I can put anyone's language. If you want to do a show in Korean, in Chinese, I mean, I don't know about Mandarin and Cantonese or how that's going to work, but that means that on this channel, I can put any person's language, pretty much all the languages of the world. I could do a show, or I could have someone else, another creator, do a show in any language. I'll put it on the channel. Because now knowing what Roberto Suarez has done, if you want to learn how to use the translate function, you can. Which means I can put a show on in any channel or in any language on this channel. And people, so if you want to do a show in German, Dieter, more power to you. Go right ahead.
Nice.
Rant over.
Speaking of Cantonese, Rob, considering Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday, it was a nice joke when Scott said to her, "Don't speak Cantonese, say it in English." Okay, motherfucker. It was nice. The Hidden. Do German cars have in it only German parts? Well, Hidden, those times are long, long, long behind us. Just saying. Michaelito, I had a BMW at one time. Dieter's not wrong. It was expensive to own. My ex-wife got it in the divorce. Okay. Altmetall, you have to decide physical media or BMW. That's why I'm here. And don't
No, you don't.
BMW.
No, you don't.
Danzig 1979. Been watching horror films all week. Barbarian, The Black Phone, Terrifier, Reanimator, and Bride of Reanimator, Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Thor, Love and Thunder. Nice to put it.
It's kind of a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly, Rob. Rob, have you finished All Quiet on the Western Front?
Yes.
Very happy with
Yes,
it.
I did. Dude, I got to say, it's astonishing. It's an incredible film. And look, it's not an easy film to watch. It is brutal. It is hardcore, and it is like a horror film, but it is I would say, I use the word wonderful, meaning I think it's just a wonderful film. I'll tell you, though, it really made me depressed that I didn't see it in a theater. You know, I know it's a German production. It is Germany's official entry into the Academy Awards. First of all, did you like it?
Yeah, totally.
It's incredible, and you know they added things that aren't in the novel, like the
Okay.
Daniel. I think the Daniel Bruhl character. You
have to tell me, Rob.
he was They added him.
Okay.
He was a real guy. He really got assassinated. They added him into the film, the narrative, and he wasn't in the book. I thought that was a great addition, and I encourage everyone to go to the NPR website. And there was it's not very long, but there's a really interesting interview with the director and that talks about the film and how, like, the original All Quiet on the Western Front, the novel and the movie, when it premiered in Germany, the National Socialists, the Nazis, protested it. They made noise in the theater. They let off stink bombs, and they tried to stop and suppress the film. And then the book and the movie were eventually banned, because they didn't like the fact that it showed the Germans losing, basically, losing their souls. But seeing a new version of it coming from German filmmakers, it's an extraordinary film. And I will ask you, I mean, I don't know, because it's Germany's official entry into the Academy Awards, I would love to get it on 4K physical media. I would assume it's because it's not going to be released here in 4K. I wouldn't imagine, but. You know, I would love that. And by the way, anyone out there, Roman Polanski's new movie about the Dreyfus affair Still can't get it in the United States. I'm desperate to see it. I want to own it. If you have it English, there's no version of it with English subtitles anywhere in the world.
It was the movie that you asked me about, and the French has no English subtitles, something like that. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, maybe I could rip it and then put it on YouTube and then use the translate function.
It would be
and watch it and have YouTube
possibility.
translate for me. But yeah, so I would love to look. I want to get that as soon as it comes out in a German media book or however it's going to come out.
Yeah.
I need to get it as long as it has English subtitles.
Exactly.
Of course.
Exactly. And I was mentioning the movie because Tim Henn said German cinema have an excellent track record of crafting first-rate war movies. Okay.
Yep.
That was I was coming from. Jamin Dean sent in the super chat considering the recommendation. Rob, I didn't know if you have started. I haven't started into delving into Garcia on HBO Max, but it just from the poster, it looks like something I could be into it. So, but I haven't started Jamin. So I hope I will get around to it. And Gary Benjo Sandwich Worthington, Garcia is on my watch list too. And Conto 007, White Lotus Season 2 tomorrow. Did you guys watch Season 1? Highly recommended. Yes, I have seen the White Lotus.
I liked it too. I liked it a lot.
Totally. But I haven't started with the second season. Togophone is Bitches, the movie. Good. Yes. From my perspective, it is. But every character is annoying in the movie. But it is by design. It is by design. And the ending of the movie is the perfect ending for this tale. I don't want to say anything more. So Bitches is a good movie from my perspective. Double McShave. I rewatched On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's okay, but feels a bit dated.
Oh,
I was surprised
come on,
to see,
bro.
I was surprised to see the Playboy product placement. I didn't remember that. But Tim Henn said, to Double McShave, it's more than okay. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is one of the more faithful to the source novels Bond movies. Okay. Polar Bear, Dieter must be rich. No Polar Bear, just a bank account always in the red. I'm running it like every state does its country. Okay. Video under D, I must know if Rob or Dieter has the Great Wall in 4K. I think you were speaking of the Matt Damon.
Yeah,
movie.
the Matt Damon film. I do not have it.
I only own it, I think, in a 3D version, not in a 4K version.
That's even better, though. Come on, that's even better.
I own the 3D version of the movie, but I don't think I have owned it in 4K. Victor Fontaine, like Europe. Amazon UK charged my credit card for the Highlander 4K box set. So it is getting ready to ship on Monday. Why is everyone getting this and mine is stuck wherever?
Because you're German, they're punishing you. It's war reparations.
Yeah,
Must
exactly.
be.
Marv
kidding,
Dogger,
of course. It's a joke. It's a joke.
yeah, like everything here. Marv Dogger.
Hey, come on now. This is a serious show.
Considering the studio canal transfers that sometimes you are not too fond of.
I know.
And Marv Dogger said Raw Deal was restored by a different studio, hence why it has no teal or yellow push to it. Okay.
Thank God.
Roman Chopper, how often Rob and Dieter show anime stuff? Unfortunately, not too often, because anime is, considering the series, is more of a streaming thing now. And when series get released here in Germany on Blu-ray, they are really expensive, I have to say, to buy an animated show. And considering anime movies, they are not coming out that much, or not that I know of. I really they have to be on my radar at some point to know that anime is coming out. So we show anime, but not really that often.
By the way, I not to gloat,
Yeah.
but Highlander arrives at my house in 5 days.
Okay.
It's been shipped. By the way, it's also in the same package with another 4K title that I didn't know existed, that I saw when I went and that I'm very excited to get.
Okay.
What is that
nice.
4K title? Ooh, well, tune in to the
Let's see.
next
Let's
episode.
see
So
next
that
week.
means by
Okay.
next week, by the next episode, Dieter, you know what I'm going to be able to show? Here we are.
Princes of the Universe.
Princes of... I'll be. You won't. You'll be waiting. You'll be a serf. You'll be an indentured servant. You'll be tilling
What
the
have I
land
done
while
to-
I'll be sitting in my high...
What have I
I'll be the
done
man
to-
in the high castle watching in 4K, Dolby Atmos, only 7.1 surround. It's funny. I can only kick up... I can only get 2 more surround speakers and 1 more subwoofer, but maybe I will just to say how great it sounds. Just for you.
Do we have any review out for the disc itself?
That's a good question. I have not seen one. I haven't. T.O.
Fingers crossed.
and
Fingers crossed.
Spare Change and Films at Home.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody.
Okay.
By the way, I gotta say,
keep our eyes
our
peeled.
boy Films at Home, he's doing a good job. I really like his channel a lot.
Yeah, totally.
And congrats to him for more people watching him than us.
Roman Shopper. It's weird. I asked a question about Metalhead a week ago, and it wasn't a super chat. That's why I like to do this kind of stuff, Roman Shopper, to incorporate the people that are watching the show who doesn't send particularly perhaps a super chat and stuff that I find interesting, like this one, Victor Fontaine. They had a 4D Borg invasion attraction there when I went, speaking of the Star Trek experience at the Hilton. And I remember that to Victor Fontaine because I did take that 4D Borg invasion ride. Tim Hens, considering your job there, Rob, at the Star Trek experience, who would give for getting paid watching episodes of Star Trek? Well, Tim, what is your price tag to watch Discovery? Tell me your price tag. 6 figures? 7 figures? Okay.
I'll tell you
Have to
something,
know.
everybody. This would be just yet another. So I'm going to tell you something. I can't say who. There is another prominent YouTube channel that I facilitated. I'm not going to say how or why, but I facilitated. They too were able to see all of Picard season 3. They loved it as well. And these are people that I trust their opinion. If they didn't like it, they would say so. But I was instrumental in getting these people to be able to see all of Picard season 3. By the way, you ne'er-do-wells, I'm not going to do it for everybody. This was a influencer channel that I think would, and I've been talking with them about doing a collab to promote Picard season 3. I wanted them to see it. I was able to facilitate them seeing it, and they loved it. They loved it.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, and that is the second let's call it second YouTube channel that I was able to facilitate seeing Picard season 3. So there are 2 influential channels in the space that have now seen Picard season 3, and I'm not the only one. I'm no longer shouting in the cosmic wilderness, Dieter. There are other people out there, praise the Lord, that have seen Picard season 3. I know. Nice. Finally. Nice. Yeah, anyway, so that's, I don't know why I said that. Tim Hans brought it up. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. And no, I'm not some paid shill. It's really good. And 30 minutes into episode 1, you too will know. And by the way, they did say that to me. They said, you know what? They waited like this. It was more than one person, and one of the people called me and said, I waited like the first half an hour. I was like, I don't know. And like you said, around the 30-minute mark, I actually looked at my watch when it all clicked for me, and you were right. Look, man, I wish people would understand. Everything I've ever said about Star Trek ever is correct. Is correct. Anyone that is counter to my opinion is incorrect. Just saying.
Just as easy as it is.
Back to you, Dieter.
Okay. The Hidden. Anyone here seen Warner Brothers movie Black Adam? Hidden, you made it sound like it's an independent movie.
Never heard of it.
Unbelievable. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Tom from Midnight's Edge was in the live chat. 4K all the way. 4K masters make better Blu-rays. Exactly.
Yes, they do.
And here, Rob, considering we are a little bit of Quantum of Solace apologists. Tim Enz, Quantum of Solace is still the weakest of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies.
Okay. Wrong.
Wrong.
Like Kevin Spacey in Superman Returns. Wrong.
Wrong. And you had a nice CD collection last week about the James Bond themes, and was looking at the booklet, considering what he is saying about another day to die about the song. And there were some people that are not too fond of that song too, but we had Junior Jangles. Yeah, the Jack White James Bond theme is spectacular. Anybody who dislikes it must be creatively flaccid and or nuts.
Wow.
Thomas Bartholdi, GoldenEye is truly the last Bond film that I really enjoyed. That long ago. Yeah. Freddie Lane, what is Free Enterprise about? Well, Freddie, I actually can tell you. I still have no idea, but why don't we ask the director? Rob, what is Free Enterprise about?
Free Enterprise is about following your dreams to their ultimate conclusion. That's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
And we're going to get into it. And believe it or not, we have, I will say, one of the most epic letters I have ever received here at the Post-Geek Singularity in the 4 years I've been doing this channel. And by the way, next month represents the 4th anniversary of this channel in terms of me doing it. And this letter, and I hope I get the name right, but it comes from one Pete. It's either Yakovone or Yakovoni. Yeah. I put it through Google Translate to find out how to say it. It's probably, either way is probably wrong, but I'm going to say Pete Yakovoni. Pete, if you're watching, and by the way, Pete says he watches this show with his wife. This show, and his wife knows nothing about what we talk about, but they watch it anyway. That, my friends, is love. So here's, if nothing else, here's a shout out to Pete's wife. Apparently you two have married well, and I'm going to read your husband's letter shortly in its entirety, because he makes a comparison about me that might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me, ever. Ooh. Even though he takes me to task. That's coming up on Let's Get Physical Media. But go ahead. Back to you.
Considering you wanted to do an aspect change, perhaps, with a new version, Troy, the Jim formerly known as Dirty Soul Monkey, said, not sure about the ratio change. Did not like Rocky IV DC going from 185 to 235. It didn't work. Okay.
Well, okay. You know what? It's funny. Yeah. I'm gonna say so. I always wanted you can actually see. I recut scenes from Free Enterprise. If you're fans of Free Enterprise, I did a version of Free Enterprise in 235 or 239. It's actually 239 to 1. And you can see that right here on the channel, on the Post-Geek Singularity. On the Post-Geek Singularity channel. There are scenes from Free Enterprise done in 235. I was convinced, because I always wanted it to be in widescreen. In my mind, I was composing it for widescreen, and I will tell you, it does not entirely work. It's too cramped. So it was originally shot at 185, and I was never quite happy with it. So when I do the new version of Free Enterprise in 4K, I will be doing it at 2.0 to 1. So it's not going to be 235. It's too much. I'm going to because I've done tests and I've looked at both versions. I've looked at all the versions. 185, I'm not happy with it, but I am going to do it at 2.0 to 1. 235 is too much. It's too cramped. But you can see what the 235 version would look like. You can also see, if you know the film really, really well, the versions of the scenes that I put on the YouTube channel are my recuts. Every scene was recut. Most people wouldn't even know. It's just better. And if there's a scene on there and you love the film that you think is wrong, because there's things. Basically what I did was I shaved it off. I just used everything I've learned about film editing in the 24 years since Free Enterprise came. Actually, next year is the 25th anniversary of its premiere at Sigis. So check it out. And but that's the only time you're ever going to see Free Enterprise in 235 or 239 to 1. It's just too much. It's too extreme. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. So
nice. And Paul in Long Beach said, I think it was about Free Enterprise. Respectively, my friend, it's been taken off of Amazon. There is no yearning for the film. I'm sorry to say. Okay. Victor.
We took it off. We took it off Amazon, just so you know. There's a huge yearning for the film, and that's the point of putting it out in 4K. Just saying, dude, why you got to harsh my mellow? What about the yearning of the yearning of your movie, Paul? Oh wait. What movie would that be? Just kidding. Come on. Just kidding. I love you, man.
Yeah. Vixter 5001 must get a 4K TV. Me at some point too, but not at the moment when my Panasonic is still running. Sega, I don't have a 4K player nor 4K TV either yet, but I'm working on them. Justin Toner, our moderator. Jaws 4K is another one I would recommend to kick off your 4K experience. Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark. I know it's sacrilege, but I like it better than the first one. And he was speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And Joshua Gonzalez answered, oh, it's definitely more entertaining to watch than the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay.
Well, because the first Texas Chainsaw is not exactly entertainment.
No. No, definitely.
I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 has a poster that's based on the Breakfast Club poster. I mean, come on. It's an entirely different experience.
Great idea. And considering the movie that I showed with Cynthia Roderick, Righting Wrongs last week with the different endings, Tim Hens said, don't know if a movie has ever done that before. From the top of my head, there was some mentioning in the live chat about Clue having different endings on disc. I don't know if many movies have done that kind of thing. It probably was a feature that was used in the DVD days for some movies. But from the top of my head, I can't think of any. That was the live chat, Rob, from last week.
Well, that's good. Now, I want to read this epic letter.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read this epic letter that comes to us from Peak. It is a Peak letter from Pete Iacovone or Iacovoni. And as I said, this is one of my favorite letters I've ever received. And here it goes. It's a lengthy letter, so everybody strap in. Grab whatever you're drinking, or a sandwich, a croissant, whatever. Here it comes. Dear Rob, been meaning to send you guys a letter for a couple of years. There's always 5 or 10 comments I want to say in response to your weekly shows, but until now, I just haven't found the time. I almost always catch the latest installment of Let's Get Physical Media, starring you and the lovable Dieter Bastian, master of the deadpan comic reaction shot. I have only one hobby besides reading, and that's Blu-ray and 4K. My name is Pete Iacovoni, and I'm an associate professor of literature and film studies. I used to be the president of the Oxford Tolkien Society, which I ran into the ground. I'm also a lifelong and fairly knowledgeable...
Mission accomplished.
I know, right? I'm also a fairly... I wish you were still there when Rings of Power came out. I'm also a lifelong and fairly knowledgeable Trekkie. I was so glad to hear of your plans for Free Enterprise, as I would like to replace my extended edition DVD before I die. See, Dieter? See? And believe you me, I've got plenty of health problems. I hope that's not true. Can I give you a word of advice about it, though? Make sure that the project doesn't become too big to pull off. So, what made me finally put pen to paper and post my reaction to the witty banter between Dieter and yourself? I'll tell you. Here I am enjoying a dinner-time viewing of Let's Get Physical Media with my wife, who is entertained by your show even though she has no interest in physical media and has never heard of any of the movies under discussion. When suddenly, I hear you, Rob, you, of all people, lobbing a random insult at the greatest writer of the second half of the 20th century, Mr. Harold Pinter. As near as I can make out from your typically deranged ramblings, you were accusatorily conjuring Mr. Pinter as an example of the specious avant-garde posturing of an out-of-touch artist who has no regard for entertaining a mass audience, no respect for history of popular mass media, and no regard for the commercial viability of their work, outside of what they can manage to squeeze out of a narrow, elitist subset of upper-middle-class cheese and cocktail-swilling haute couture a-holes. Wrong example, Jack. Let me tell you something, buddy boy. On the London stage and even on Broadway, Harold Pinter's plays were wildly financially successful, and being a competent businessman, so was he. Pinter was no poser and no fake. He came up in show business the hard way after almost 2 decades as a jobbing actor, what is known in England as a touring player. We're talking 5 or 6 shows a week. He did all the popular stage hits of the day. It's hard for people to understand nowadays that theatrical drama was a big business in the period before and after World War II, drawing big crowds and making plenty of money. Inspired by the works of Samuel Beckett, Pinter struggled for years to write a play, and his freshman full-length masterpiece, The Birthday Party, was laughed off stage by the snooty London critics. His second play, The Caretaker, suddenly hit the audience jackpot, and overnight he became the most famous writer in Britain. Pinter was no snob. A tough Jew from the Hackney project of London's West End, Pinter loved film noir and got his revolutionary and pitch-perfect sense of darkly comic dialogue from 2 sources. Firstly, movies like Ernest Hemingway's The Killers from 1946, and secondly, the actual speech of London's East End gangsters. Pinter's plays are no more avant-garde than Citizen Kane, Breathless, Tokyo Drifter, or Blue Velvet. They all caught the zeitgeist within a few years after release and were appreciated by a sizable, mostly youthful segment of the mass audience. Those experimental narrative structures and abstract monologues in Pinter's plays are earned because his writing is always amusing and entertaining, and the audience is willing to go along for the ride into an unstable, sinister, and unknown territory, sort of like the Twilight Zone. It's a place he calls no man's land. If John Ford is the Shakespeare of cinema, then Pinter is probably the Jean-Luc Godard of the theater. That's how important he is to the medium and the struggle to make it more in touch with modern audiences. That's why he is beloved by people like David Mamet and Seinfeld writer David Mandel. Returning to the avant-garde, though, Pinter had the good sense to resist what happened to Godard. Like a lot of artists who were outraged by the Vietnam War, Godard was radicalized and seduced into a highly politicized avant-garde art scene that was heavily Maoist in its political orientation. Godard wound up making what amounts to dreary experimental propaganda, and even quit filmmaking altogether for a number of years. Harold Pinter deliberately resisted calls to join that kind of movement and was considered hugely uncool at the time for doing so. The theatrical savant-garde wanted to get rid of the role of the writer and the script entirely in order to present a kind of improvised political theater. Pinter believed in literature and wouldn't have it. While other artists spent their time forming Marxist-Leninists' political action committees that had nothing to do with art, Pinter followed common sense and became a renowned humanitarian advocate, working to end torture and corporal punishment in authoritarian regimes like Turkey and Serbia. He focused on what people of all political stripes could agree on, that nobody, as he said, ought to have a live electrical wire strapped to his balls. I agree with that. Pinter is not as avant-garde as Beckett, and if you start insulting the writer of Waiting for Godot, I shall have to take you outside. Finally, Pinter's given us at least 5 damn good movies. In fact, great movies. The most famous is probably The Servant, which is out on 4K from Studio Canal. I know. I own it. It's right there. Followed by The French Lieutenant's Woman, available on Criterion. I own that too. But I've got more affection for The Birthday Party, directed by one William Friedkin. It's available on a fantastic Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, as is The Homecoming, starring the late, great Ian Holm. This is the time I want to point out that Kino Lorber contacted this show and is sponsoring us through their 4K offerings. And I'm, obviously, The Birthday Party, a huge William Friedkin fan. Lastly, The Caretaker from 1962 was actually produced by Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton and photographed by one Nicholas Roeg. Nicholas Roeg's performance, by the way, starring Mick Jagger, is like a greatest hits album cover, or a cover album of Pinteresque themes and characters. Anyway, this letter is tongue-in-cheek and all in good fun. And I'm sorry it's a little long. Here's my favorite part. What an honor it is to have an exchange with the guy who made Free Enterprise, which was the breathless of my nerdy generation. Let me just stop and... This is the greatest compliment I have ever received about Free Enterprise. Let me read it again. What an honor it is to have an exchange with the guy who made Free Enterprise, which was the breathless of my nerdy generation. Your commentary on the state of Star Trek, DC, and Hollywood movies has got more wisdom and common sense to it than 1,000 other YouTube pundits combined.
Are you sure, Rob, you did
Just hang on.
Let us send it?
No, hang on. Wait. Okay, let me continue. Do you mind if I take one more minute to tell you what I've been working on lately? A couple of years ago, I wrote an academic paper on Star Trek, the original series, that has been canceled, rejected 3 times. The academics who, after all, were the ones that invented so-called wokeness, hate Gene Roddenberry. And not because he rewrote Harlan Ellison's script for City on the Edge of Forever. And the only thing they hate more than Gene Roddenberry is Star Trek, the original series. They see it as colonialist, which is absolutely sickening in its lack of perspective. My article argued that, on balance, Roddenberry's concepts of IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combinations, the IDIC ideal and the prime directive, yes, I know it was Gene Kuhn's idea, are positive contributions to our culture and media landscape. And so, I got canceled. Still not sure what I'm going to do about that. Maybe self-publish on Amazon. My full-length book on the books of Seijun Suzuki is going to come out in March of 2023. And it will be available on Amazon for free. That was my choice. So please, tell the Post-Geek community to look out for it. It is a visually beautiful book, full of illustrations, and it makes film theory accessible to non-academic cinemaniacs like you and me and Dieter Bastian. I also did a public lecture on Shakespeare recently that has shockingly got over 1,500 hits on social media. Unfortunately, none of those hits were on YouTube, which pisses me off. Goddamn algorithms. So the Post-Geek compatriots can do me a favor. If they are so inclined, by watching my video, either by using this link here or even better, just search on YouTube for Yakavoni or Yakavoni Shakespeare Lecture. That's Yacavone or something like that. I feel we are all one big community, and I feel the love. Captain, we are firing on your position. And that is it. That is the letter. That is a letter from our Post-Geek Singularity member. And please, I'm going to I'm putting it right now in the live chat. Go to here's the YouTube link to his lecture. And I'm hoping, I just want to say, and I don't know if this works, but I want to say, Pete, I read that with all of the conviction I could muster, all of my skills, all of the powers that I have not as good as, of course, our man right here. I would never presume to even begin to enter one of the greatest orators of American history, American statesman, Frederick Douglass. But you know what? Knowing your wife watches this show, I'm hoping I got her hot and bothered by reading your letter as well as I could. And I hope she takes you out of the kitchen, takes you upstairs, and has her way with you, simply because this letter was awesome. And thank you for that. So, Pete, the Post-Geek Singularity has your back. And I would say this. We are going to publish the anthology, The Imagination Connoisseurs, in 2023. I would be honored if it's well written. I don't know. This letter is really well written. If you've written a piece about TOS as well written as this letter, we'll publish it in our Imagination Connoisseurs anthology. That said, Dieter, back to you. What do you think? There's academics that are fans of yours in Europe. What do you think?
It's nice to get some complimentary letters for our show. That was really a nice one. And it's nice to see that people are still hoping to see Free Enterprise getting a new release at some point.
God, I hope so. I feel like I'm a failure if I don't do it. All the people out there, what can I say? Maybe one day.
Nice.
We have some super chats and tips I'd love to get to.
Okay.
Let's hear from you guys. Super chats and tips are open. We have multiple. You want to talk to us? Kevin Wellborn, obviously from New Zealand, has been a member. He just sends in a thing. I guess he re-upped. Mr. 47 says, I agree with this 100%. It should be a federal crime that Gravity from 2013 is not on 4K. I have the 3D version and the Blu-ray version. That film is a visual masterpiece. Sandra Bullock's best performance, in my opinion, 100 out of 10. You know what? I agree with you. It's incredible. Why it's not on 4K, I don't know. Do you like Gravity?
Yeah, totally. But just thinking about it, Rob, was it filmed on film material?
I don't know. That could be why it's not. I mean, I don't know. And it was 9 years ago. The technology, I don't know. And it took them a long time.
I would think so. It was shot on digital. Just a presumption.
Yeah. Damn it, Spock sends in a super chat and says, "Evening from the UK, Robin Dieter. Have either of you heard on the grapevine if Chinatown or Forbidden Planet will be released on 4K?" Look, man, Paramount has been crushing it with their catalog titles. Here's what I would say is the problem right now. I know there are people at Lionsgate that are preventing or are not keen on having a new version of Basic Instinct done in 4K. I would imagine that the reason we don't have a 4K of Chinatown is because of Roman Polanski's history here, they are preventing the 4K version. That's why the Dreyfus Affair film he made is not out either. It's unfortunate because Chinatown's one of the great movies of the 70s. I hope that cooler heads will prevail and it will get released. By the way, that doesn't mean me condoning Roman Polanski's activities. I do not. But I'm just saying that I think art transcends. I mean, it goes back to the how many people worked on Chinatown? Faye Dunaway, Jack Nicholson. I mean, we should release it because of those people. John Huston, Mr. Gitz. I mean, come on, man. Anyway, and Forbidden Planet, what I would give for a 4K transfer of Forbidden Planet. And I think it's MGM. Somebody will license it out. Somebody will put it out. I swear to God.
Actually, it could be Kino Lorber then when it's MGM.
I know, right? Kino Lorber. And by the way, Look, Kino Lorber contacted us. They like the show. They want to send us. By the way, Kino Lorber, I have not got anything from you, but they did say they're going to send us discs or whatever. I did reach out. The gentleman, their director of publicity, really great. And I did write to him. I asked him two things. I said, can I talk to some people from Kino Lorber? Dieter and I would love to interview people about what you look for transfers, special features, that kind of thing. How do you decide on 4K releases? But also about what they're going to do in the future and all those things. I mean, Kino Lorber has done a great job. Their first 4K disc, I believe, was Hannibal, and it was beautiful. So, and now they're doing Dolby Vision with things like Usual Suspects, and we'll get to that because the news of what's getting released is interesting. They have a new title. So, God bless them. Kino Lorber, are you going to do Forbidden Planet? Because my God, would that look great in 4K. Yes. Jaimin D says, hello, guys. I hope you're having a blast today. Please consider me stupid when I ask this, but what is the meaning behind the 5-color bar on the bottom of Arrow disc sets? That's a good question. I don't know for sure, but if you look at the Arrow logo, it starts out with clearly, there it is. It starts out with clearly a home video, like a VHS logo that switches to the clear modern. I think it's a reference to just the color bars that are used to balance a screen.
on a test picture.
A test pattern. That's what I would think. I don't know for sure, but that's what I would think. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. But Jaimin, I think that's what that is. That's what I would assume. The Alex Zorba says, Rob, I have dollars burning a hole in my pocket for a free enterprise 4K funding. Great flick. Looking forward to any added content. Keep rocking, boys. Well, look, I think I need to have a conversation with our executive producer and maybe try and convince him of this. Maybe we'll partner up and he'll allow me access to the negative and we can do this. I mean, it's not going to be cheap, and I don't know if we can crowdfund it effectively, but we'll see. And I very much appreciate you saying so, the Alex Zorba. We'll see, hopefully. Ron C. sends in a $20 super chat and says, hello, Rob and D. For those who have never watched a Star Trek movie, HBO Max just added all 10 films. I did see that. HBO Max put all 10 Star Trek movies on, not the J.J., maybe they have the J.J. Abrams movies, but they use the old artwork from the old. Okay. So I don't know. I didn't look to see if they're in 4K or not. They might be. Don't know. Dangerous Lee says, hi, Robin Dietz. I finally caught COVID after 2.5 years. Ooh. Are either of you participating in the Criterion 50% off sale? I just picked up De Palma's Blowout and Lynch's Lost Highway in 4K. Thanks, guys. Well, I have to say that I did fill up my cart and of the things I wanted in their sale, and even at half price, it was $500. Although
so much for for saving money.
Yeah, I'm like, I just don't have that. I'm house poor. I'm mortgage poor. So, but those are the ones I filled up. And if I, have the money, you got to work harder. I guess it would be $500 to get the titles. I think it's like $519 or something. But yeah, it's everything. But it also includes, like, I don't even buy Criterion titles anymore. But the upcoming, there's a lot of pre-orders, like WALL-E, like the Lars von Trier Europa trilogy. But there's also Blu-rays like Kyushi Kurosawa's Cure. And there's a lot of stuff in there. So it's everything I want. But yes, Dieter, you can't buy from Barnes & Noble, can you?
No, but I used the stuff on Amazon that got a little price reduced, so I pre-ordered. I ordered, help me, Lost Highway and The Sound of Metal.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And Dangerous Lee, just a shout out to him because he did win the Lost Boys edition.
Oh, and did he get it?
Probably tomorrow.
Okay.
You will get it.
Okay, nice. David C. says, greetings, late to the show, but I had to give a shout out to the Hellboy figures in the background. Deet's background, happy
Thank you.
collecting.
Thank you.
Nicely done. And our friend Kevin Welborn says, Rob, I am not from New Zealand.
This was back. Sorry, this was back from the DVD days. This was in
hang on, hold it. Let me go full frame on that.
This was in a DVD special edition back in the day.
Nice. Kevin Welborn says, Rob, I'm not from New Zealand. Our cousins are from across the ditch. Our cousins from across the ditch would not like to be confused with Australia. Oh, did I say you were from? I knew, Kevin. I knew you because, you're getting the Australian discs. Dieter, thanks for making me aware of Scott Adkins.
No problem. And the best ones to start is, of course, Accident Man, and the one that Rob got, Avenged Man, is still, I would say, his best movie. And One Shot. One Shot was a great one this year too.
Nice. Stubble McShave says, when Dieter was sick the last time, he was actually fighting supervillains, threatening the Robserverse. He was using his vigilante alter ego, the Germ Man, at the time. I don't know if I understand all that.
Nice wordplay.
Oh, and this is perhaps not to, Paul, a boy Paul from Twin Flicks. By the way, if you don't follow Twin Flicks, Paul does great comparison videos of 4K and Blu-ray discs. Paul says, I received my Studio Canal Highlander 4K box set, and I'm very, very pleased. Hang on, I should be on this. You should see my face as I read this. And I'm very pleased to say, no teal and yellow tint, as Studio Canal has done in the past on some 4K releases. It is a gorgeous restoration in UHD. And yes, a Blu-ray versus UHD comparison is on the way.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to give you the floor for just a second. Cover for me.
Okay. Nice. So I have still letters to go through. So just two quick ones. The first one comes from Brian Knight. Robert, I haven't watched a single episode of Endor, but based on the reviews I have seen, the character of Deidre Miro is giving me Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS vibes, starring Diane Thorne, rest in peace. Please comment on the reference to a classic 1970s movie. Bonus fact, Ilsa was shot on the outdoor set of Hogan's Heroes before the studio was bulldozed. So, Brian, from my perspective, I can't give you any references to if there's really a connection here. We will wait when Rob comes back, and I really will read it anew, what he thinks of that. Vincent from France. Hi, Rob. Guten Tag, Dieter. If you want to save money, don't read the following message. Okay, but I will do it anyway. Australian label Imprint Records has announced this week that they will release a deluxe 3D lenticular steelbook 4K UHD of the 1953 War of the Worlds. According to the announcement, there should be a direct port of the Paramount 4K disc. This comes with the imprint Blu-ray and a 44-page booklet. Very nice, but will you be buying this again after DVD Criterion, Blu-ray, and Paramount 4K? As far as I know, when I read your statement now, there's a little bit of a problem considering the color timing on the Paramount 4K. So if Imprint uses that would be the same, that it would be to some extent wrong. But I will probably be getting a cheaper one, because for me, the Imprint is a little bit, for me, considering the movie, too pricey. I will probably get the Paramount one that is coming out here in Germany as a little bit of a digipack, and I will have to live with the little color timing problem. So this was this letter here. Rob, I was reading letters and I couldn't give Brian help with this one, so you have to help me out. Robert, I haven't watched a single episode of Endor, but based on the reviews I have seen, the character of Deidre Miro is giving me Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS vibes, starring Diane Thorne. Please comment on the reference to a classic 1970s movies. Bonus fact, Ilsa was shot on the outdoor set of Hogan's Heroes before the studio was bulldozed. Rob, did you get those vibes too, considering Endor and this character? Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS vibes?
Well,
as a reference.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know 70s exploitation cinema, Ilsa was a character created by the great actress Diane Thorne. I use great actress with parentheticals. By the way, I didn't even know this. It's a Canadian exploitation film. And by the way, Dieter, you know, just because I take great pleasure in showing this, you can't get offended. Don't get offended. Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS. Let me throw up. Let me throw up a picture of
Demonetized, Rob. Demonetized.
I'm gonna, you know, somebody's gonna get triggered. Someone's gonna get triggered by this. But if you don't know, Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS, it is very brutal. Here's the one sheet for Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS. The most dreaded Nazi of them all, a different kind of X. She committed crimes so terrible, even the SS feared her. And on the bottom of the poster, warning, some members of the public may find certain scenes in this film offensive and shocking. Yes, and we loved it for that. So Diane Thorne basically plays the Commandant, and there's sex and violence. I mean, she castrates a man she sleeps with. It's hardcore. Only the way the 70s could do it. But it was a series of films, actually.
Yeah.
And let me read this from the Wikipedia entry. Upon its release in 1975, the film was immediately met with widespread controversy and critical derision, with Gene Siskel calling it, quote, the most degenerate picture I have seen to play downtown. Particular criticism was directed at the film's graphic violence, which includes depictions of castration, flogging, human experimentation, and many other forms of torture. Word of mouth quickly spread, and the film was a considerable financial success, becoming a staple of grindhouse and drive-in theaters. The popularity of the film led to the creation of 3 sequels, each of which saw Thorne reprising her role, and the film's infamy eventually evolved into a considerable cult following, with the character of Ilsa becoming a pop cultural icon, ubiquitous with strong, aggressive female authority. The film is considered one of the prominent entries in the Nazi-sploitation subgenre, and to a lesser degree, the sexploitation subgenre. And let me just say that Ilsa was a spiritual sequel to a film called Love Camp 7. So, Dieter, you might not know this, but Americans and Canadians made Nazi-sploitation movies where set in concentration camps and did all kinds of stuff. This is so... this is very funny. Ilsa was called the bitch of Buchenwald. Wow, let me just tell you. What can I say? This is interesting. It was shot in 9 days, and famously, it used the Culver City, California set of the TV series Hogan's Heroes, which was a comedy set in a POW camp in Germany. The series had already been canceled, and the show's producers let the film be made on it once they learned that a scene called for it to be burned down. They burned down the concentration camp, and it saved those producers from having the cost of... They didn't have to spend the money to have the set demolished. So they knew they were going to burn it down in the film. And because the film was shot in the United States, it would not legally qualify for the Canadian Film Development Corporation capital gains allowance. So a lot of the exploitation films in Canada, like Cronenberg's movies, like They Came From Within and Rabbit and the Brood, were made because dudes wanted tax breaks. Ilsa was one of those movies, or they tried to make it one of those movies. So it has a 30%. It has a 36% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 11 reviews when this was written. And the Independent Film Journal wrote, One of the most dangerously sadistic mentalities will manage to sit voluntarily through more than 10 minutes of Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS, a graphic, stomach-churning catalog of Nazi medical atrocities that makes the Texas Chainsaw Massacre look like a Sunday picnic. Theaters catering to the lowest possible grade of audience could make a bundle of dirty money. Others would be wise to forget it. Vincent Canby, in the New York Times, reported walking out on the film and wrote that it could, quote, possibly be the worst soft-core sex and violence film of the decade and the funniest. It's set in a World War II Nazi concentration camp built in a meadow that looks very Southern California. You can almost hear the freeway traffic on the other side of the hill. The AV Club gave the film a scathing review, noting that it has absolutely no sense of humor that might go where the obvious lack of moral purpose is. And the film's director, the director of the movie, Don Edmonds, described the screenplay as the worst piece of shit I ever read. There you go. And now, there were 3 other movies made. Ilsa, Harem Keeper of the Oil Sheiks. Ilsa, the Wicked Warden, which was directed by Jess Franco. And Ilsa, the Tigress of Siberia.
So we come full circle, Rob. From African Kung Fu Nazis, we're now to Ilsa.
Ilsa, which by the way, was a movie that I owned and showed many of my friends in high school. These punk rock I would have been canceled in high school. Why I'm not surprised. Tara, I would show. Look, I had the best collection of exploitation films. It's kind of funny because kids today, on one hand, you want to be all nice. They don't even realize we talk about the trash that even you watch is very highbrow compared to what we used to get.
Could be, Rob.
We haven't even got to the news, man.
No, and I have still a letter and one disc to show.
All right, go for it.
The letter comes from Pedro Ferreira, and he writes to us, and he says, "Hi, Rob and Dieter. Preserving physical media has got me thinking about animation I grew up with. Some of it exists on film and can be rescanned for HD, but a lot of 80s animation doesn't have that option. Disney have located the negatives and scanned a number of animated series, but some like Gummy Bears and DuckTales still only exist in SD master tapes. My only suggestion, and it is a pricey suggestion, is to reanimate the shows digitally so the shows can continue to exist in a format that doesn't keep degrading. It's not about putting up with bad quality because age gives it a gritty look, as some have suggested. It's about being able to still watch it in the future as outstreaming technology and displays get more advanced. The cost is obviously the issue here. A show that needs a digital upgrade badly is Fred Wolf's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The show has also tons of errors and off-model work that needs looking at. Even with the 80s cartoon series being hot property right now, with the recent video games and upcoming 80s comic, you are asking a studio to reanimate 10 seasons of a show, tracing over every single line in every single frame. What hope does a far more obscure cartoon series like Defenders of the Earth or Attack of the Killer Tomatoes have to getting that kind of attention? They all still need to be preserved for the future regardless of popularity. Will these shows become lost? My only thought is that the shows are sold via streaming as something brand new, then if successful, a physical release. At least the show already completed provides an assessment to the studio whether it's worth the trouble remastering a show. Some days ago, I found out that Garfield and Friends was remastered in HD for streaming on Boomerang. They couldn't locate the negatives for the opening intro, so they decided to reanimate the intro as I suggest for the other 80s cartoons. It didn't go over too well with the fans for obvious reasons, because the remastered intro looks like flash animation compared to the low quality of the original. Some of the fluid animation of hands and legs is missing, and it looks stiff while coming across as wavy. They couldn't locate the intro for the later seasons and outro end credits either. So these were recreated, but without any consideration for how it used to look. I think for future generations of viewing, it's incredibly important that 80s cartoons shows that only survive on video should be reanimated, but not with this poor quality. Not to say seeing Deep Space Nine or Voyager in HD isn't important, but animation is definitely in a more difficult place right now. I've never heard you speak on this before. What are your thoughts? Rob, I'll give this one to you because considering those
Pedro,
shows, Pedro, I actually have not big interest in a new version of.
I know that Pedro, he has a vested interest in his childhood and these films, and I feel the same way about everything. All of this, it's all culture, and when you get older, the Teenage Mutant Ninja cartoons or whatever mean less to you. But it is part of culture, and it should be preserved. And I think that it should be preserved in the best possible quality. And unfortunately, that is now defined by, is there profitability in it?
Yeah.
And there are countries in the world, and maybe because I look at it through my rose-colored glasses, here's the thing. When I first went to Paris for the first time, one of the things that struck me is everywhere you went, there seemed to be an artistic sensibility. Even the way cobblestones, and again, I understand it's my romantic vision, but walking through the city at night, I mean, it's an incredible place to be. And there were cinemas that you'd find on street corners playing Casablanca, and literally I did find a cinema playing Casablanca. And this was I was in Paris in the early 2000s for the first time. And, it was amazing. Everything is art. And the French government, that's why they have their rules about streaming. They believe preserving the artistic, I don't know what you'd call it, the fact that cinema is art. And if something's going to go on to streaming and it's not playing in a cinema, I mean, the French still believe in the artistic impulse and that it should be preserved. We in America don't give a fuck. We have the thing is, you imbue anything with meaning. Something has meaning if you decide that it does. And we in America are probably, of all the cultures in the world, are so quick to get rid of any kind of reverence for arts. And animation is art as well. I mean, within the boundaries of... So I think it should be preserved. The problem is, in America, unless there's a monetary value attached to how can you get a return, I would say preserving all cinema is worthy for its own sake. And now that we have streaming services, all of these things can become valuable if you consider the long tail, that kids 50 years from now are going to watch this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show or whatever. Let's preserve it in the best possible way. Like, we're not thinking in the long term because everyone thinks in the next fiscal quarter. So I would say I believe that whether it's, animation that's made to sell toys or whether it's, Sally Cruikshank's Quasi and the Quackadero, it should all be preserved and saved as art created by human beings for whatever reason. And so hundreds of years from now, can you imagine if we had video from 2,000 years ago? Ooh. We now have the capability with computer technology, and if they ever allow, we can store data on glass. They can make little glass shards that can house like the Library of Congress. We have that technology. We should do it. We should preserve all of human artistic and commercial endeavor for, who knows how it's going to be used 1,000 years from now? Who knows how it's going to be thought of? We are so short-sighted. I say preserve it all, Pedro.
There you go, Pedro.
I have one last thing to show, and you have one last thing to show, right?
Yeah.
Why don't I throw it back to you?
Okay. Because I told you one of the greatest things about our show was getting to know people a little bit more closely.
Yes, sir.
And that I could reach out to them, and they're sending me stuff. And you already gave a shout out to Paul from Twinflix, but I do it again, Paul, because he reached out to me. Sometimes he's getting stuff early, and he was thinking for me because he did get this title 2 times. And I know Top Gun was the big deal this week, but this was a big deal for me too, because I was thinking that I would never get a sequel to The Witch Subversion, which came out in 2018.
Wow, look at that.
It did leave the movie a little bit open-ended. It is made as a trilogy. So I was really waiting for the sequel, and of course the pandemic hit, and I don't know what the status of the sequel was. And then the first thing I stumbled across was a review of the sequel. And I thought, hey, here we go. The sequel is coming out. And it's always strange that the Korean movies are mostly getting released in the States or here first before they get a release in their homeland. So Paul reached out to me, and I said I would gladly take this off your hand because I want to see this movie as soon as possible, because it's coming out. The release date is on Tuesday, and he got me the sequel, Rob, which come out from Wellgo USA.
Look at that.
The other one. And it is still a slight recommendation for people who like the first one. But Rob, the thing I got with this one is Peninsula vibes, which means Rob, too much CGI. Too much CGI and not good CGI.
God.
And I'm not talking.
As you would say, God damn it.
Exactly, Rob. God damn it. And it's not 1 or 2 shots that are a little bit wonky. Almost every action scene has a wonky CGI shot in it. So I'm still liking how the story was evolved. And the first one was released through Warner. But they did jump off. I don't know when the business side of the movie, but we still got the sequel, so I'm happy that we did get it, and I hope we will get a third one. But because there's still stuff to show. So thank you, Paul, for giving me this. The hype was too much for me, so it didn't quite reach that, and it got a little bit too much Peninsula vibes, which is unfortunate. But Paul did send this to me, the other one, which is the sequel to the first one. It only took 4 years, just like with Terrifier, with the second one.
Well,
so this was my whole.
If that's not a reason to subscribe to Twinflix, I don't know what is. Okay, my last thing I'm going to show. The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow.
That was a separate release. I thought
sun. No, it's not a separate release. I have Annie on 4K, Dieter, and you know what? I'll probably never watch it. But if someone comes to my house and says, Rob, do you have Annie on 4K? I can say yes. And do you know why? Do you know why I do? Because I have this.
Yeah.
That is right. Columbia Classics Volume 3. By the way, can I just say that they actually put out a call. They put out a call amongst people that buy physical media, and they had an actual poll to find out what movies were going to be in this.
Strange picks from my taste.
I have to say, I wasn't going to buy this, Dietz. Wasn't going to buy it.
Yeah,
now
you told me.
For those of you who don't know, these Columbia Classics box are masterpieces of packaging. Look at this. I mean, come on, man. This is some dope ass shit. You got the discs here. That's where I took Annie out of. So these are 4K releases. Now, the thing about this, as a fan of classic cinema, I realize in 4K, a lot of these are black and white too. I could not deny. I mean, From Here to Eternity. I mean, come on. It happened one night. Are you kidding? To Sir with Love, Sidney Poitier. As well, and The Last Picture Show. I mean, I would say this. You know, Peter Bogdanovich's The Last Picture Show. I would have spent $100 to get this. Well, this on 4K, and basically I did. So, but
Yeah,
to
but
get
you got five other movies with that one.
yeah, and I have to tell you, the special features in here are astonishing. They went all out, and I'll tell you something else. Another great thing about this box set is it comes with. Hang on, let me get this. Oh, they're falling out. And also, there are digital copies of all of these. Oops. Hang on. There is a book as well. Apparently, I can't get it out. There is a book, too. And even in this book, and the book is pretty cool. It's hardcover, this book even also has a disc in it at the end. It has a disc in it,
Ooh, nice.
and it has the From Here to Eternity TV miniseries that was made in the late 70s. Like, why? Don't know, but now I own it. It's not in 4K. Don't get cheeky with me. But I couldn't not buy this, if only for, you know what? You got to vote. That's why people in the United States vote on Tuesday. Don't sit there and go, well, I don't vote. Well, then don't get pissed off when your wives are taken away to Gilead to give birth to children. Please. Look, I'm just saying. But
Yeah.
if they're going to put these classic films out, especially classic black and white films, these films, Columbia does an astonishing job mastering their movies. So I would say
Sony. Let's say Sony.
yes, Sony. Pardon me. There's a reason. I mean, obviously,
But the other classic sets came with the book too.
Yeah, they did. No, they did, and they're great. And I was like, as a completist, I couldn't not. They've done a great job. Yep. So we also have As Good as It Gets. I didn't mention As Good as It Gets, and Annie. Probably never watch Annie, but the other ones I will watch, and it's good stuff. So,
yep.
By the way, Chris Cohen fired in. First of all, Ron C says HBO Max does not have the JJ Star Trek movies. Well, that's because HBO Max has taste. And Chris Cohen says, last night I ate some mushrooms and I watched Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time in years, and it was a near religious experience. Amazing film. You know it is.
There you go.
As you know. That's what Star-Lord does when he's captured in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm just saying. So that was my Star-Lord impression. But yes, it's true. It's great. So what else? Oh, we still haven't gotten to the news.
Yeah. And still one thing, Rob, you talked just a little bit about on observation about it. Next week sees the release of the video game God of War Ragnarok. The new.
Oh, are you getting it?
I was thinking about it, Rob, to buy it. There are collector's editions.
But yeah, aren't you going to buy some special edition?
Rob, I wasn't aware of it, but then I read it again and again, and I thought, no. Considering the collector's edition, you get a steelbook with it. And Rob, there is no disc in this steelbook. You will get just a code to download the game.
Wow.
Why would I need the steelbook then? Even if it looks great. And I thought, what is standing there? There is no. This comes with no disc.
There's there. God bless you, Dieter. Take a stand. Take a stand.
And so I'm expecting, Rob, that the standard release will not feature a disc too. So you buy it, you're just getting an empty shell with just a code to download the game, probably. So if in the collector's edition there is no disc, then why would there be in the standard edition a disc? So when I will get it, Rob, probably just the digital version from the Sony PlayStation Store, So I'm really looking forward for the game, but I will not buy any not available physical copies of it, Rob. Like you said in observations, I think yesterday's considering video games is physical media is done. Considering video games.
Yeah, I look, as much as I've got an Xbox X and a PlayStation 5, and someone pointed out, I think it was who was it that pointed out about Hot Wheels. I mean, I thought playing it was frustrating for me. I guess it's in-game stuff. You can upgrade your cars. I thought it was mostly money, but I'll have to go back and revisit that. But yeah, I mean, I look, I understand about video games and downloading and all that stuff, but I mean, we are living in the end times of physical media. And by the way, as somebody who embraces the future, I'm a futurist. I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand. And manufacturing, we already saw Oppo die. Oppo went out of the disc business years ago, and it was when I wanted to just buy a really nice, like, if I ever am not poor again, holding on for dear life because of a mortgage and interest rates and all that, I would love to buy some premium disc players that I can put away and know that I'll give myself 25 years on the outside. Let's say I have, and I don't mean to be morbid, I'm just being pragmatic. Maybe I have 25 years of life left on planet Earth. That's enough to get through my physical media collection. And but I don't want to be 15 years in, when I'm in in my mid 70s or whatever, and not have a player, and suddenly my collection becomes moot. And we're there. I mean, we're at and by the way, let me just point out, in America, on Monday night, our lottery, the Powerball lottery, no one has won it. Our lottery, Dieter, is up to $1.9 billion.
Holy smokes.
Billion, and no one's won. Let me just say, if I were to win the $1.9 billion, I would take the cash prize, obviously, which is up, I think it's going to be up past $1 billion. And then you have to get taxed on that. So let me just say that if I win the lottery, here's the first thing I would do. I would give NYU, New York Film School, because New York's built on bedrock, and I assume if it doesn't get nuked, Southern California could be destroyed. Otherwise, I give it to USC. I'm going to give $50 million to NYU to create the Robert Meyer Burnett Genre Studies program. And I'm going to it's all about discussing science fiction, fantasy, thriller, crime, horror, whatever. I will buy part of a building to set up the class, and I will buy every single piece of physical media left in high definition of any exploitation, horror, or science fiction title and bequeath it. That's what I will do. That's the first thing I will do with my winnings, the Robert Meyer Burnett Genre Studies program, and I will tenure professors that have to be controversial and say shit people will protest. I will only hire professors that are firebrands. Anyone that will say that, well, I don't think that Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS should be watched because it's offensive. No, all the professors must offend. They must know all of this. They must know everything about every single bad filmmaker ever, and we will have them all, and they will be tenured for at least 10 years. If I win, what can I do? Just saying.
Mr. 47 in the live chat did correct me. I wasn't delving into it. The standard version comes with a disc, he says.
Okay. Well,
right now. But I don't understand why the collector's edition then don't.
By the way, do you know that we're getting dragged? Stubble McShave is like, the fact that we spent so much time on Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS says something about this show. We're being dragged to, hey man, I don't know what's going to come up. And then Alex the Zorba is
it
like,
was in the letter.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing, dudes. We don't know what's going to come up. And should we celebrate Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS? Probably not. But the fact that we do is what makes this show unique. You just never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get.
No, exactly.
And by the way,
Rob,
it's a Canadian exploitation movie. It's not even American. It's Canadian.
And since you're liking to play racing games, finally get your Xbox working, Rob. Get that Game Pass and play Forza. If that Hot Wheels isn't to your taste.
I got to do that. No. And now that we have the room to play it, and by the way, it's funny. I put a picture up of me and the dogs watching Top Gun, and people are like, why is your screen so small? I'm like 65 inch. And then I started looking at them like, you can get an 83 inch for like less than $5,000. It's on sale. It's Sony. It's Sony OLED. I'm like, got to get more super chats, I guess. I don't know. I'll never be able to afford it, but whatever. I'm just thinking, 60. I used to think 65 inch was a good size, but in our media room. Mojo, my friend Mojo's like, sit closer. I'm like, I'm not gonna. It looks. If you're in the room, it's fine. It looks great. But then there's an 83-inch at Best Buy, Sony. I'm like,
You can always getting a step up.
Yeah, what's great is Elizabeth and I did mount. We have now a TV mount in the wall, and anyone who has a TV mount knows that it comes with brackets, and you can just lift your TV off, and those brackets are good up to like 96 inches. So I can just swap it out, and our media room is ready.
You're ready.
We're you know what? We're ready to accept the girth. We can take it deep inside of us. 83 inches, we can take it.
Exactly. Only one thing from my end, Rob. Terje, our friend in Norway, reminded me of that. There's a Norwegian troll movie coming out on December 1st, which I'm really looking forward to.
Have you seen the trailer?
No, I have not.
Oh,
and it's from Raw Utak, who did the Tomb Raider movie with Alicia Vikander, Coldplay, and The Wave. So I'm really looking forward to it. But no, I have not.
The trailer is fucking awesome.
Okay,
it's awesome. Great. So, by the way, we have to announce that Godzilla Day occurred this past week. And if you are a Godzilla fan, there is a new Godzilla movie being made to sell. Yeah. It will be the 30th Godzilla film. It comes out in 2023, which I don't know if it's a Godzilla anniversary. It's a post-war Godzilla movie, but they released a 6-minute. I couldn't quite get if it's a 6-minute short film, but Godzilla is attacked by Gigan Rex, which had total Evangelion vibes. If you're an Evangelion, Neon Genesis Evangelion, there are multiple. I mean, it felt like angels from Evangelion. It was Godzilla fighting the angels. I mean, if you haven't watched this 6 minutes, dude, it was orgasm-inducing. If you're a kaiju fan, check it out. Toho announced this new Godzilla man-in-suit film. And let me tell you, here's what's funny. I watched that 6-minute sequence when Godzilla is fighting Gigan Rex, or multiple Gigan Rexes, and I was more fulfilled. I love Godzilla. I love Mike Dougherty's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. But there's something that we don't get in the West about the Asian spirit. And we just can't duplicate the fun. When I watch this 6 minutes of Gigan, I mean, you'll see. Watch it. It's just, look it up. Godzilla versus Gigan Rex. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. And if you're a kaiju fan, you'll be like, yep, I get it. I understand what Rob means. It looks great. Can't wait. Very excited.
And Troll looks great too.
Troll looks like a kaiju movie. Watch the trailer. It looks like, what the point I was going to make, I just forgot. In my reverie, my egomaniacal head, I had forgotten that what I wanted to say was the last Toho Godzilla movie, which was Shin Godzilla, I loved. And what they did with it was they made Godzilla like a natural disaster, and they had Japan's version of FEMA trying to deal with it. It was awesome. Shin Godzilla rules. Well, this new Troll movie kind of looks like the same deal. They've reawakened. When you watch the trailer, you're going to be like, "Oh, this movie looks fucking awesome." So check it out. Watch the trailer, dude. Troll looks great.
Awesome.
Terje, by the way, sends in super chats, and he says he's been a member for 20 months, and then he says, "My TV is bigger than yours." Well, from what I've understood from the girls I've known in my life, most Norwegians have things that are bigger than mine. So what can I say? That's all I can say. And you know what? More power to you, because you're cold most of the fucking time. I live in sunny Southern California, and even when it's cold, it's not that cold. And you know what the cold does to you. So you have to work twice as hard. Just saying. So there you go, Terje. By the way, love you. Love you. Always love you. By the way, we haven't gotten to the news yet.
Yeah. Then dive into it, Rob.
Should we get to the news? Would you like to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This week's news, Scream Factory has announced a number of titles. First and foremost being the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead, a movie, by the way, as I've told people. Dawn of the Dead, Romero's Dawn of the Dead is my second favorite horror movie of all time. I was so upset someone was remaking it. I went into this movie with my hands folded and a scowl on my face. I was ready to hate this. Really liked it a lot. James Gunn wrote the script. I really like this film. I don't love it as much as the original Dawn of the Dead, but it's really great. 4K and collector's edition. Hopefully they'll have the director's cut, which I'm sure they will. That's coming out. Director's cut's going to be there. Good. Fantastic. We've got Freaky coming out. I actually like this movie a lot. Freaky in 4K. A lot of fun. Serial killer movie. Now, this is not 4K, but it's still Scream Factory. Jackie Chan early movie, 76 and 82. Volume 1, which means they're going to do more volumes. The Jackie Chan collection. Early young Jackie Chan. Very exciting. And then they're finally releasing a steelbook. They've been doing, Scream Factory has been doing the Carpenter steelbooks. The artwork for these steelbooks has been fan-fucking-tastic. I had an accident with my Fog steelbook, which I have to fix. I have to get another one. But I love this artwork. They've done such great artwork. It throws back to the days when movie posters were painted. I love this art. I've been buying these Carpenter steelbooks just because I love the art, and they're putting out They Live. Now, Severin is putting out this movie I've never seen, The 5 Days. This is Dario Argento's movie. I believe he made this after he made his first of the Animals trilogy, Four Flies on Grey Velvet, maybe. And then he made this film, and it was about, I know, it's an Argento film I've never seen. It's about like the Milan uprising. I don't know anything about this movie other than that I've never seen it. And it's an Argento film I haven't seen, which is very exciting. Now, maybe only I care about these next titles, but Network out of the UK is releasing 3 different Jerry Anderson titles. Jerry Anderson, he who made the Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet and the live-action UFO and Space 1999, but he was known for his Super Marionation shows. And the first title coming out from Network is an extended director's cut of Jerry Anderson, A Life Uncharted, on Blu-ray. It's an extended director's cut. So Jerry Anderson, I'm a huge fan of his. I really like, I have many Jerry Anderson spaceships, including Eel Transporters from Space 1999. And the second of these is this. Super colorization. So the early Jerry Anderson Super Marionation shows, 6 favorite episodes if you've never seen them before. The Four Feather Falls, which is probably rarest. Supercar, which was his first sci-fi show, and Fireball XL5. They have taken photographs from the era and used them as templates, and they've colorized, I believe, 2 episodes from each show in color, and they're releasing those on Blu-ray, which is fascinating. And then my favorite, Stand By for Action, Jerry Anderson in concert. The great Barry Gray, who did the scores for Thunderbirds and Space 1999 and UFO or whatever. This is all the music from Jerry Anderson shows in one concert on Blu-ray. Now, I know, Deech, you're probably looking at me yawning. I think I'm perhaps the only person who even watches this show or lives in America that's as excited about these as I am. But you know what? It's my show, so I can put this stuff in.
I know.
I'm very excited. So there you go,
It's nice
kids.
for me to know what is coming out that I wasn't aware of.
And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, wow, a concert of Jerry Anderson music. I need to buy that Blu-ray. Because why not? And I know you're not interested. Most people aren't, but I am. And I'm
Rob,
happy to have it.
Isn't that always a good sign that stuff like this is coming out?
It's amazing. It's amazing. But that's not all. That's not all that's coming out. There's even more things coming out. And this, by the way, is something great. This is the 1962 Requiem for a Heavyweight, which stars Jackie Gleason, Anthony Quinn, Mickey Rooney, Julie Harris. But why I love this is because it was written by mid-Twilight Zone by Rod Serling. This is a tremendous program. Definitely something I'm going to pick up. Can't wait to have it on Blu-ray. Most excellent. Kino Lorber, once again, we've talked about it, The Italian Job, coming to 4K. The original, Noel Coward himself and Michael Caine. Love this movie. So much fun. And finally, perhaps the only thing Bad Robot has ever made theatrically that I love this movie, Cloverfield. The original Cloverfield coming out in 4K Steelbook. So Dietz, how do you fall on Cloverfield? Do you dig it?
I pre-ordered it. The only thing about it, Rob, considering how the movie was shot,
I know.
If the 4K will really do anything for the movie, but
I don't know.
The hopes up.
Maybe.
And considering your precious verisimilitude that Cloverfield didn't have, considering the sound was too great, no camera ever would record a sound like that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, but I love the movie, so we'll see.
Me too.
But
you have to get a little bit through the first part of the movie.
It is true.
It was a little bit rough, but after that, here we go.
It's good. Great. Now, of course, the sales figures. These are the top 10 Blu-ray titles selling through October 29th. Nope. Bullet Train, Thor: Love and Thunder, Jurassic World Dominion, The Invitation, Batman and Superman, Battle of the Super Sons, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Thank God. That's Warner Archive on number 7. Congratulations, George Feltenstein and the boys and girls and all the people at Warner Archive. The Batman, Minions, Rise of Gru, and Idris Elba and Beast. So that's cool. And then we go to, these are the top 5 home media sellers of all media, including DVD. Nope at 75%. Bullet Train 60%. 75% is Blu-ray. Bullet Train overall 60% is Blu-ray. Thor: Love and Thunder 60% Blu-ray. Hocus Pocus back on the charts. My God, they're milking that. Amazing. And of course, the New Invitation. So those are the top 5 in all home media formats. Here's our favorite. The top Blu-ray 3D sellers for the week. We have a 4th title. It had been pretty bleak for the last couple weeks. Dune 3D, 0.78%. So to me, that's like 8 3D Dune discs were sold on the planet Earth. 8. Top Gun 3D, that would be 6 3D Top Gun discs. Aquaman 3D, all right. 33%, 0.33% of all, so 99.6% of Aquaman were 3D discs of Aquaman, but only 0.33. That's not very many. That's like 3. Wizard of Oz 3D, they sold 2 copies of Wizard of Oz on the entire planet last week. It was totally a schnäppchen, absolutely. And finally, the top 5 4K Blu-ray sellers for the week. Again, Dune at the top. Why is Dune at the top? Because I think it's probably the best Blu-ray in terms of picture and sound that's been released. The Batman 4K, obviously great. Nope. What's interesting about Nope is Nope is a new... This is fascinating because normally Nope was released on all formats. And this speaks to when a new title comes out, only 43% of people bought this in 4K, which means 66% don't have 4K that would buy it. Or it's interesting. And then Halloween, both Halloween 2018 and Halloween 1978, because it's Halloween week, 30. That makes sense. So there you go. Those are the sellers for the week. Dieter, I'm going to give you one guess. What is going to top all of those charts next week, with maybe the exception of 3D?
Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick.
Yes, sir.
Will
Yes,
be
sir.
in the charts. And probably, Rob, for a long time.
For a long
Considering
time.
the steelbooks are almost sold out everywhere. Here and there, you can get a copy of the steelbook, but considering here in Germany, it was even tough to get a steelbook.
Yeah. It's an unbelievable disc. Watching it, the quality is
and a great movie. Great movie too. Rob.
It is. It's a great movie.
Yeah, deserved all the accolades it's gotten this year. So, Rob, I think we are through.
We're done. That's the end. I mean, it's another long show.
Super chats left?
Nope, we're done with super chats and tips. Unless anyone wants to fire any last minute commentary in, we are done. We're caught up.
Yeah.
Terrier has to, the final word is that his TV is bigger. Well,
bigger, yeah, exactly.
What can I say? Mine will be bigger soon.
So
I'm getting a
crossed
TV
on my
pump
end.
to pump it up bigger.
So fingers crossed on my end that my Highlander 4K will at some point be shipped too. Even if I probably pre-ordered it before every one of you.
I know. It's terrible. Terrible. Well, Dieter, a fine show to be had by all.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to all of the viewers, all of you imagination connoisseurs who generously support the channel via super chats and tips, and all the people who watch and send us great letters. If you want to send us a letter to Let's Get Physical Media, write down there to postgeeksingularity.com. Send us a letter. Just put the subject matter, Let's Get Physical Media, or the acronym LGPM, and we'll know it's for us. Or if you want Dieter just to read it, go, this is for Dieter, my favorite German. And we will send it to Dieter, and he'll read it on the show. I want to say thanks to Justin Toner and Tom Jr. Jackson for being here.
Yeah.
And Bunyan Snipe is here.
Yeah.
Good to see Bunyan. Good to see him back. Good to see you, Bunyan. Welcome. And Lord Toth was also here. We got multiple moderators. Multiverse of Madness with moderators. Thank you, boys, for doing so. And you know what? If we want to talk about Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, we will. That doesn't mean it makes any movie any better or any worse. It's just we're talking about that today.
Every movie is welcome here.
That is right.
From Martyrs to everything else. And on my end, yeah. Okay.
I was going to say, you want to take
soon. Yeah. We've got a last super chat from Terry.
Did Terry fire one in?
But not my. Yes, he says, my TV is bigger, but not my career.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Nice save, Terry. Nice save, Terry.
I look at career. You've got a better career, a more stable career than anybody I know. You're building transmissions for cars. Even when they're all electric, you'll still have to build transmissions for cars.
Yeah, that is, Rob, that is a dying media too.
Transmissions?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're still going to have to build drive shafts and all that.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
It's never going to go away.
Okay. I hope so, Rob. I hope so.
Do you think you're going to be out of a job in 5 years?
I hope not, Rob. I hope I will make it to the pension, with my job.
Well, one day I'm coming over there, and we're going to go on a road trip. When I win the $1.9 billion tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
The first thing I'm going to do is pay all I'll pay you back for all the discs you bought me. I'm going to put millions of dollars in your bank account. We're just going to have imagine if Dieter and Rob went out on the road and we traveled private jet, and we just made videos about our travels, and we would just go talk to people around. We'd go to, we could go to Korea and meet all your favorite stars because we'd have enough money to pay them to meet with us. Like, we'll give you $25,000 to have dinner with us. We could meet all your favorite Korean stars. I could get to meet Lalisa from Blackpink. I'm like, hey, here's $100,000. I just want you to sit down and hang out with us so we can take selfies. That's worth it. Then I can say, I know Lalisa.
Give me a quick heads up. How is the American lottery? How is it working? Do you have to have numbers right? Or
Yeah. So the Powerball, you have to have the numbers right and the Powerball number. And
it's exactly the same like Hero.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think it's something like 235 million to 1 that you'll win. And if you think about all the people buying lottery number, and each lottery ticket costs $2. No one, every time someone doesn't win, based on ticket sales, money goes back into it. Keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Yeah. So right now it's 1.9 billion. So it probably will cross $2 billion. Can you imagine? I mean,
a nice spare change.
I would build that dedicated home theater building and get a real movie theater projector in there. So it'd be great. I mean, but then I would remember the New York University NYU Genre Studies Department. I'd have to buy my own building. That's what I'm doing. And all of your Scott Adkins titles have to be bequeathed to it, So, but on that note,
their own shelf. On that note, jede Person, die du triffst, hat eine Geschichte zu erzählen, die du noch zu hören hast. Alles, was du tun musst, ist zuhören.
Every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that said, Dieter, we bring an end to Let's Get Physical Media episode 86. Thanks, everyone.
See you all next week. Hopefully with my Highlander 4K set. Or I will be furious.
I know I'm going to have mine.
Yeah.